Okay.
I'm ready if you're ready.
Christine, ready?
I'm ready.
That's it. Yes, okay. Well, welcome everyone to, what date is this? It's the 3rd of February, Medfield Select Board meeting, so welcome everyone. We have a full house tonight, which is, that's a good thing. Glad to see everyone. And I see some new faces, so there actually are people here who haven't been to meetings before, so let me explain a few things about it. First, this is a hybrid meeting, so we're both running an in-person meeting, but Medfield TV also streams our meetings live, and it's being recorded so that people can see it after the fact if they want to record it. So be aware that you are being recorded if you're here in the room. Also, if you are going to speak during this meeting, we're going to ask you either to use the microphone at the lectern, or Bill is not in his customary seat for a minute. I thought you weren't here. We have also the Bill Massaro honorary microphone, not the memorial microphone. I always say it the wrong way. You can also use that one if you don't want to get up to the lectern. He has it back there, and you can pick it up. When you speak in the microphone, you'll think it's not working because my voice is not being amplified. That's not what it's for. It's the audio pickup for Medfield TV. So you don't feel like it's doing anything, but trust me, it is. And if you don't do it right, the people outside will give us text messages very quickly to let us know to get it fixed. So that comes in pretty regularly. We typically will start our meetings with a minute just of reflection in recognition of service members that are serving around the world to defend our country. Thank you. Okay. What we have as our first appointment tonight is, if I can get my flip up, is I believe Montrose School. We are getting a report, Donna Volpe Strauss, Chief Financial and Operating Officer and Assistant Head of Montrose School, and Katie Elrod, Head of Montrose School, to provide an update on Montrose School and the turf field expansion project. So take it away.
Thank you. Does this sound okay? Great. So I just want to thank everyone for this invitation to be here tonight. This is really our first opportunity as a school to be in person with any members from the town of Medfield and the representation. And we're just so grateful for the opportunity to be here tonight. And of course, to be first on the agenda, we're also grateful for too. We'll be honest about that. But most of all, just the opportunity to see people in person. I mean, this is, as a school is, going through the pandemic, we are the essential workers, and being in person is really, was and continues to be our focus, because that's where transformation happens in the classroom. So tonight, we're just going to speak briefly about a little bit about the school in the context of Medfield and an update on the project. And then we can, of course, open it up for any questions. So first, I'd just like to say we did prepare an impact statement we sent along to the select board. We hope you received it. If you did not, we have copies over here, and we have copies for anyone else in the room who would like it. And it's just basically a summary of some of the points and some more details on our school and the project. So, Brittany, are you
Yes,
ready? So
I'm
thank
driving,
you. I'm
yes.
sorry, give my clicker. All right. So the first slide is really just an orientation of who we are. Right, we are an independent school for girls in the Catholic tradition. We are really clear about our mission, which is we're calling young women to greatness of mind, heart, and character, so that they may discover what we call our noble purpose, and most
Something up with
didn't
we
hear
told
my
you
joke.
people can't
That
hear.
was- that was terrible.
A couple of people are saying our mic is out.
See, we do this to all the rooms.
I just want to make sure we got like 5 comments at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's back. Can you say, I think it's All right.
Sure.
We're good.
Are you good? Okay, great.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
No problem. So in 1996, when I started at Montrose in Natick, we spent 10 years there in that building, and we had been searching for many years for our permanent home. And when we were looking, we looked at many different properties. Hopkinton, I think we were actually up for the bid at the Dover project, the Dover property where BC is now, which is the retreat house, which is a beautiful piece of property. But honestly, this was the one property that interested us the most for two reasons. One is that our mission is a civic mission. We wanted to be in the heart of a downtown, and we wanted our campus to be open to ensure that our girls were a part of the town every day. And two, we were really inspired by the story, which we've gotten to know very well through Richard DeSorga's book and his visits at our school as the town has hats and made beautiful and very practical straw hats, but they were made by women. And that has been inspirational to us as a school and has continued to inform all of our curriculum and program. And our last, in fact, as a last inspiration, our last part of the Straw Hat building we renovated about 10 years ago. We renovated it as an arts and environment building, and we made sure that we retained, as you can see on the picture, all the elements of the Straw Hat factory in order to ensure that what we're making in that space, and right now that space is actually used for robotics and a lot of actually creative arts, ensures that we're able to continue that mission and tradition on campus. So our shared history is really a shared mission. And then a little bit more about Montrose. So Montrose, next slide, Brittany, please, is an independent school, meaning even though we are a faith-based school with a Catholic tradition, we are completely independent, meaning we do not receive any funding from the church, from the Catholic Church. All of our tuition is all of our operating budget is really tuition based, and it is a tuition that really supports many families who are not able to afford our tuition. If you can go back one more, I think there's a, is it stuck in the?
Yeah, hold on. Let me try to escape out of
That's okay.
present mode.
I'm a teacher. I'll just keep going. But one of the things that's very interesting about our role as an independent school is that we have a large body of families in our school who do receive tuition assistance, 60%, in fact, which is much larger than pure independent schools. And our average aid actually is 50% of the tuition. So half the tuition is discounted. So we are fundamentally a young school. We are actually under 50 years old, which as you know, being in the storied New England towns that we're in is very rare. Most of our peer competitors in athletics and in admissions are schools that are at least 75 to 100, even more years old. And that really is a huge difference in terms of how we operate as a school, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So where we are with Medfield, we have been here 20 years, gratefully, and we have really bloomed where we've been planted. 11% of our students are from Medfield. It is actually our greatest number of students, our largest town. We draw from over 50 towns, but Medfield is our number one town. 14% of our faculty and staff are from Medfield, and most importantly, we continue to be an economic multiplier, as I spent many thousands of dollars at Brothers myself getting lunch. But just last year, in 2024-25 school year, we spent $83,000 at the Medfield restaurants, mostly at Brothers and Pizza, Royal Pizza. And so we're just really grateful because this has been a huge support for our program. And then just a couple partner programs that we work with in the school. You can go to the next one, yeah. These are all the businesses we work with. In fact, I buy all of my appliances here, A&D appliance, every single appliance. I love it, free delivery. I just call them up and I tell them what I want and they find something. They're amazing. But this has been a really important part of our flourishing here is all of the local businesses. You keep going? Yep. And then, of course, all of our organizations that we partner with, we have so many different partners in terms of volunteers. And so what that means is that anyone who wants to use our property, we offer below market rental pricing for all of the local organizations in Medfield. We prioritize all the Medfield vendors. And, for those families that do not participate in the public school system, we, of course, are educating at no cost to the town. We also, with our new project, will be the site of a medvac landing site for the police and fire department in case of emergencies on our fields. And most importantly, what we're very excited about is improving the town's wetlands and Vinebrook. And then this really is just a result of the last, really this month. We've had a month of service and solidarity in which we have continued to do what we've always done is, for the last 20 years, work with a lot of our different volunteer organizations in Medfield, from Medfield Council on Aging, from the Thomas Upham House, and this year we're working with Theo's Flowers. So this has been a big boon for our, really, formation of our girls to be able to serve the town. And these are just initiatives from individual students. One of the students isn't on here. I just spoke with her. She's a senior, and she runs a nonprofit that I think you'd be interested in called Vote Movement, which is an organization that supports local town politics in improving voter turnout. And she's been very effective. She's already had I'm going to send you the link. I just found out about this actually yesterday with her TED Talk. So this has been a huge a difference maker for her and for her own interest in politics. And I know that Medfield certainly will benefit for it. So this is just an overview of Medfield and Montrose and our 20 years. And I just wanted to say again how grateful we are for all your support and happy to be here tonight to give you an update on the project. So at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Donna Volpe-Strauss, who is the CFO and the assistant head and is in charge of the project.
Good evening. So I'm just going to give a brief update on the project and then we can open it up for questions. As you know, it's an over $9 million investment that Montrose is making in our campus renewal project. It is an investment in our campus fields, so 2 turf fields, as well as the Vine Brook, 3 bridges over the brook on our campus, and surrounding wetlands. The project underwent a lengthy review process for the permitting, as many of you know that are involved with the town. It was over an 8-month period with 4 different committees in order to get the various permits that we needed for this project. An important priority of the project was to protect and restore the wetlands and the Vine Brook because of the location of the majority of the project within the wetland buffer zone. Part of the project is replacing over 15,000 of invasive species with native plantings, and we also removed over 1.5 acres of asphalt to install the fields and also natural landscaping.
Cool.
And I can keep going. So just a quick update on the project. We broke ground in July of last year, so 2025. Here's some photos of the project. These are renderings from our architect, Rob Olson and Associates. Part of the project is also a field storage building. And we broke ground in July of 2025. Last fall was really spent on advancing the work around the wetlands and also on our fields. There are weekly site visits to the property with Finn Kelly, the town's conservation agent, as well as our environmental monitor that we hired to work with us throughout the project. Their purpose, of course, is to review the work that's happening around the wetlands and make sure that all the mitigation measures are in place. Construction began a couple of weeks ago on the field storage building that I mentioned, and that is located behind 55 North Street on our campus. Unfortunately, the project is temporarily paused due to weather. It's not so much about the snow, but really about the cold temperatures that we're having. A few weeks ago, there was over 8 inches of frost in the ground. So they were really limited and had to shift the focus of the work so that they could keep the work going. But starting last Monday, they did pause it. We'll hopefully get back on track again next week. Despite that pause, there's time built in, buffers built into the project. So we're still on track to complete the project this summer. And Katie, do you want to speak to us?
No, that's just an invitation.
This is an invitation. We do offer educational seminars throughout the year that are open to the public, and this is one that we're really excited about. We're inviting Dr. Arthur Brooks and his wife Esther, who's a former board member of ours, and they're going to be discussing building a happier marriage, and that is February 25th. February 25th at 7 p.m. in our A&A Center, which is our gymnasium. Again, that's free and open to the public, and we certainly invite anyone who's interested to attend. And that's it for our presentation. We just wanted to open it up for questions.
Well, I'll start with, I thank you for coming here. I've had the pleasure of meeting both of you, and you guys gave me a phenomenal tour. I've lived here in town for 26 years, walked my dog by it, ran by it, and never had a chance to check out the property, and it's impressive. The two young ladies that gave us the tour, one was a freshman, one was a senior, outstanding. And so I'm thrilled to have you come in front of the board this evening, give us an update. You're right in the center of town, so we get a lot of questions as to what's happening and where are they at, so it's good to hear that you're still on track. And thank you for supporting the town. I'm seeing that you had that slide that shows that, you know, your parents, that those that live here, those that come in to pick up their girls, they're helping our economy in Medfield, and we genuinely appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. I guess, first of all, I'd start by mentioning that I saw in Boston Magazine, I think a while ago, years ago, that you guys were listed as one of the bargains for independent schools, so congratulations for that. And now I see from your presentation tonight that a huge number of the kids get financial aid as well, so somehow you're making it all work. How many students do you guys have now at this point?
This year we're at 271,
271, and that's over 6 grades.
6th through 12th, so 7 grades.
Oh, 7 grades.
Yep.
And what sort of is the average class size? I went to a what's now Buckingham, Brown and Nichols, and there were like 10 people or 8 people in each of my classes. What do you guys run?
Yeah, our average class sizes it's around 12 to 16 students,
Yeah.
and the grades vary. Our largest class grade this year is 9th grade, and so we start out in 6th grade. We have 25 students this year, goes up to about 38 in the high 30s for 7th and 8th grade, and then into middle school, high 40s and 51 in the 9th grade this year.
Okay, so your graduating class is around 50 maybe each
Yeah,
year?
just under 50 students, correct. Yep.
Mine was 42. You get to know everybody very well in a school that
Yeah.
size. So one of the things that I was interested in your pictures, because I haven't been inside any of your buildings. My office is right across the street from you, by the way. I'm just, as you're looking at the post office, my office is just to the right. But I haven't been inside any of your buildings, but I noticed that you had the cathedral ceilings. And so I think that looks great, but I worry about your heat costs, so, but it's up to you guys, so.
We do too. We were just talking about solar panels today, just looking at different alternatives, but we worry about that as well.
You guys have roofs that would be great for solar,
Yeah.
Certainly, so. But I was thinking of drop ceilings to keep the heat down. So that really, my first question about the fields has to do with because I didn't see the plan until you sent us the thing, and thank you for that. It was a very helpful presentation that you sent us. You're building two turf fields, but I guess they're cork. I
Correct.
read, so that
Yes.
sounds better than, because they used to build them out of old rubber tires, I guess, and.
The fill, yeah. And a lot of them
And they're-
still
and they're-
are. We had switched during the permitting process. We had made the decision to switch over to the organic cork fill because we knew there were some concerns among some of the committee members that we were working with, as well as some residents as well. So we made the decision to do that. There's limitations on it from a use perspective, but we thought the trade-off was better. It's more expensive as well, but we thought
is
the
it?
trade-off, I think we spent about another extra $35,000. And you do lose some playing time, but the trade-off seemed better because it made people more comfortable, because it's an organic cork fill, and there are
Well, I
no
know that-
concerns about it.
From the reading that I had done, when you guys were proposing it, I just happened to read about, and I know that some people were concerned about PFAS getting off from the tires or something,
Right.
I think it was.
So there's two separate elements to this. There's the carpet, and then that's like a couple inches. It's put on a base, it's laid out, and then they use some sort of fill material to keep the fibers standing up like a regular lawn. Originally, they were using crumb rubber made from old tires. Then it became an issue that there's a lot of chemicals in that. So the next transition was to encapsulate that. So there's another product out there which is crumb rubber, but it's enclosed, it's encapsulated. And then this is one step more, which is don't use it at all. Then the carpet itself, the fibers, there is an issue whether in that manufacturing process, PFAS is like a generic term. There are thousands of chemicals that qualify as PFAS. Some are listed and some aren't as hazardous. There have been issues raised by opponents that in fact there's PFAS in some of those fibers. So they're two very separate issues.
Yeah, and the company that we ended up going with for providing the carpet that Mark is talking about, they actually do independent third-party testing. So when before they ship it to the site for construction, they have it tested to prove that there's no PFAS in the product before it gets delivered. So we know at the time of installation there's no PFAS in the product.
Oh, that it's not gonna discharge.
That's not going to
PFAS
release
into
anything because
fine
there's
growth.
nothing in it from the actual
Good.
manufacturing process.
So I was interested that you were building two turf fields. I guess, did you have two fields before?
We had one field before, and we were renting for our other sports off-site.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you needed the two fields?
We did,
Okay, all right.
correct.
Because I'm across, my office is across the street, I saw new water lines going in, and I'm thinking, well, these are fields that are turf fields. Why is there water? But apparently there was a building.
Yes.
Is that- and
That's
the
for the
building-
field house building behind 55 North Street. Correct.
Okay, 55 North Street is the one that the building that you're still using. I think there was a picture of it in the materials that,
Yes.
Yeah,
We still use
okay.
55 North Street as classrooms, mostly for our world languages. And the building behind is replacing the big shed that we had that was located on the fields. We took that down.
Oh, that's right, because that was,
Yeah.
yes, so that's in the middle of the fields now, right, okay.
Yes, so we'll be
understand.
using it for athletic storage, but we'll also be using it for our facilities staff and the workshop.
And then there was a photo in the material of kids playing volleyball in a gym. Is that your gym?
Yes,
Okay, and so that, I saw that there was like a stage behind it, so that you
Yes.
can use that as an auditorium?
we do, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yep, we
Oh,
use
good.
it for our performing arts program and also for athletics, so it's a shared space.
Yeah.
We also use it for events as well. And our auxiliary programs as well. We use it for our summer program, and when people rent it for basketball use, or we're using field hockey right now, right? A local organization is renting for field hockey, so it's a multi-use space.
So I'm an attorney, and you mentioned that you thought about apparently going to the BC property in Dover. And as an attorney, that is the subject property that became the Dover Amendment in Massachusetts that created the zoning exemption for religious uses. And so I'm just am fascinated by that property, and it's a gorgeous property. So And that's all the questions I had. Thank you so much for coming and for your presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're certainly welcome. Anyone is to come for a tour. Our Director of Enrollment and Financial Aid is here, Kelly Melly, and it's her girls that she trains, the Red Key Club, and they do all of our admissions tours. As Eileen said, they're amazing.
I highly,
Yeah,
if you've
they're-
never been in, I highly recommend. I mean, it's
such
a
a nice
gem
job.
in the center of town that I bet 90% of the people, I mean, the 11% I know about it, right? But the, but I mean, you go by, you have no idea what's there, and it's fascinating. It's very nice.
I'll share with you that there's a ton that I don't know about your school, even though it's in our town. But from being across the street from you, I have noticed one-on-one walks with an adult and a student. And I thought to myself, one of the things that I've heard is that the greatest predictor of success in college is if a student makes a connection with a professor. And when I see those kids walking with your faculty members, I think to myself, what a smart thing to do.
Yeah, it's a signature part of our mission, actually, is our mentoring program. So each student is paired up with an adult. All of our faculty are mentors and some of our staff. I'm also a mentor for a couple of students, and we meet with our mentees every other week.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
you walking, and I think it's such an excellent idea. Do you keep the same students as a mentor, or do you switch around and mentor
They
different
start
kids?
to get choices, right, in high school?
Choose when they're in upper school in 10th grade.
But you try to keep with them so that they get to know you better, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Smart
Yeah,
thing.
it's been a great thing to be a part of as a staff member. I think it's an amazing program that we offer.
Sounds like you guys are doing a lot of good things, so.
Thank you.
Trying to help build civilization.
Also, thank you for coming. This is the first time I think it's the first time you've done this, and it's actually the first time I've really heard much in detail. So my perception of Montrose consists of routinely going back and forth on North Street. And so you, unlike Pete, who paid attention to adults with students, I pay attention to the kids and how they're acting on the streets. And when we moved to Medfield 30 years ago, one of the main impressions that caused me to look forward or anticipate moving to a good town was seeing kids on the street that looked like they were being kids on the street, but not like being destructive, any just decent kids. And that's the impression I had of our own town schools and students. And when Montrose had been there for a while, the one thing that's interesting to me, and I think might be a little bit to your point about wanting your students to be integrated with the town, is I have the exact same, except for the fact that they wear uniforms, I wouldn't necessarily know whether they were in Medfield schools or if they were at Montrose, because they're all really just decent kids. That's point one, just a subjective impression formed over years, but as it happens. The other thing though also is, and this will lead up to the one question I have for you. I've been to like American Legion meetings where a Montrose student had won an award and came and talked about things. I think you're active in Girls State. I think that for some reason sticks in my mind. That might have been something. I could be wrong about that because the Legion is active in Boys and Girls State. And it strikes me in the news articles that I've read about various things where a student is being honored or is talking to the Lions or something like that, how often Montrose students are there. And that's made an impression on me, again, subjectively. Here's my question. I am assuming you have a very strong school and a very good education program. I'm curious about whether there's any trends or where your students tend to go or what sorts of opportunities in terms of where they go after Montrose. Really good schools.
I mean, we have an unbelievable college acceptance rate. So they're going to college, and we get them into all of their top schools. So all of our students get into one of their top 3 schools. So, we're really proud of that, and we just see that improving over time. We have such a strong group of students at our school. They're so impressive. Just like you saw, Eileen, you just saw a small subset of the girls giving the tours, but they're all like that. They're so well spoken when they go and represent themselves at the Lions, for the speech competition or wherever it is. That's how these girls present themselves, and this is really part of their education at Montrose that they're learning. So they do really well, and then they go on to do really great things. We have a lot of girls going into STEM. But one of the things that Katie talks about a lot in her presentations at the school is just how the girls value so much this education that they get around learning how to think, learning how to be creative, or to make inquiries, to be curious. That's something we talk about a lot, and that it serves them well no matter what profession they go into.
Well, I remember the day after I was given the tour, I know the senior that gave the tour was getting ready to fly down to NASA to meet up with an alumni who was going to welcome a group of girls and give them a tour of NASA. I mean, that's phenomenal. I think the weather was a little sketchy, but they got down there.
So I'm not sure how many supporters you have in this rather unusually large group, but are there questions from the audience? We've done enough talking up here. Does anybody have any questions or comments? They were just awed by you. Okay. Well, thank you very much. This was great.
Anyone?
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Coming in. Nice to
Thank
meet
you very much.
guys.
And once
Nice
again,
to
thank you
meet
for
you
supporting
too.
the town. It's very much appreciated.
Okay, Mo,
Good luck with the
you're,
school.
you're up next. The bar has been set. We've got, we have Maurice
You can
Goulet,
leave. You wanna
leave. It's
DPW
okay.
Director.
It's okay, yes.
But it's nice that you're there to support.
Don't take it personally,
I was
Mo.
only kidding, you can stay.
Don't take it personally.
It's
Don't take it
actually
personally.
fun to watch me rake them over the coals, but this is just a quarterly update, so I don't really think you have anything.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You guys brought a crowd with you.
Hey, you guys were also nice about Martha. You used to know some fundraising campaign going on.
Okay. How did they not mention that?
I know, they had the mic. Have a great night.
I thought they came for you.
I know, I thought that was Well, good evening and thanks for having me tonight.
Thanks for coming.
So a couple little things we're going to do tonight is we have a short video to begin the update, and then I'm going to go into a presentation. I just want to give kudos for to my our office manager Sarah Downs and our administrative assistant Jessica Robinson. They put this video together just to kind of go over kind of an overview of the service that we provide the town. I thought it came out really well, and hopefully we'll be able to get that on the website as well once you see it. Then we'll go into a presentation after that.
All right,
Take it away.
let's see if this is gonna work.
No, your laptop. Have a hard time.
Try it now.
Not me. Oh, it is me.
Hold on, let's give it one more try. You're not unmuted. Do you need to be unmuted? Before when it was working, you were unmuted and I was unmuted.
The department is responsible for maintaining the infrastructure our community relies on every day. From roadway maintenance and storm response to drainage, water, and sewer support. Our work happens year-round and often behind the scenes. We support many areas of town operations, including highway maintenance, grounds, solid waste services, tree maintenance, and the town's water and sewer systems. Our in-house capabilities allow daily operations and seasonal work to continue smoothly, while maintaining the overall condition and appearance of the town. To support this work, we utilize a range of roadway paving and preservation methods based on roadway conditions. These include crack sealing to prevent water from penetrating the pavement base, surface treatment such as rubber chip seal and bonded wearing courses to improve durability and extend pavement life. Overlay paving and full-depth reclamation for complete roadway reconstruction when necessary. The department also maintains the town's drinking water distribution system, including roughly 87 miles of water mains, 5 pumping stations, and 2 large storage tanks that ensure reliable service throughout the community. In addition, our sewer collection system includes approximately 62 miles of piping, consisting of gravity mains and 9 sewer lift stations. These systems convey wastewater to the treatment facilities, where it is processed and safely returned as clean effluent to the Charles River. Much of this work is completed in-house by our own team. Our staff is multi-skilled and capable of completing a wide range of projects, allowing work to move efficiently and responsively. Outside contractors are brought in only when specialized expertise or large-scale work is required. During storms and emergencies, all divisions work side by side to respond quickly with clearing roads, managing drainage, addressing hazards, and restoring safe conditions throughout the community as efficiently as possible. This is hands-on, demanding work that requires skill, coordination, and teamwork. It is the work that keeps our town safe, functioning, and well-maintained every single day.
Sorry.
Okay, the next presentation won't have any it'll just be me talking. But
We're
thank you.
really testing our tech skills tonight, man, and I am failing, so.
Got it, so. So I'm here to give you kind of an update of what we've been doing in the recent past, what we're doing currently, and what we plan to do in the near future. So I'll just go right through there's a lot of slides, but we'll get through them pretty quickly. Our public works facility, we have a 216 kilowatt solar panel system on top of the roofs. Our electricity usage, we are net zero. So whatever we produce, we use, we don't use anything extra. Next slide, please. The topics we're going to kind of cover is mostly all the different divisions in our department: the highway division, solid waste recycling, fleet, cemetery grounds, water division, sewer division, and talk about a little bit about the Medfield community events that we get involved in. In our highway division, we looking at the asphalt paving projects we have done recently. First one you'll notice is Pound Street. We did a mill and overlay on Pound Street. We also did same on Robert Swirl Road.
Oh, just for those of us that do asphalt work, what is mill? And
Milling is
overlay?
grinding the roadway down 1.5 or 2 inches, depending on the surface, and then resurfacing it with a. We actually, I'll use this segue to. We use a super pave method. Our super pave asphalt that we use is a high-end asphalt. The compaction is completely. We create what they call a proctor. Basically, we start with what it can compact to, and we have the contractor compact that surface to the most that they can do. So our roadways have longevity to them. We use a warm mix additive, and the warm mix, what it does, it makes it pliant so that we can get that compaction level to where we want it, so that roads last, like I said, for.
I've always been fascinated by the fact that you mill it, but that you take some off first, because my brain would just say, keep adding more layers of asphalt, and the more, the better, but apparently that's not the way it
How would you get out of your driveway after a while?
Yeah, so we stay away from just overlays because we create drainage issues where they never were before, because you're raising the existing
okay.
levels.
So that's what that's called, it's an overlay where you just.
Yeah, so
Leave on top
when you
of
grind
it.
down and bring back to existing, as long as you didn't have any issues in the beforehand, then your roadway comes out a lot better. As we move along, we also did West Mill Street with the mill and overlay. This rubber chip seal that we use a lot of in the subdivisions is an inexpensive rehabilitation surface method. I know it's not as popular as people would like to. We would love to pave every street in town, but this gives us a chance to spread the the surface around that we instead of having our highway department get into these subdivisions and filling potholes all the time and doing construction and, you know, kind of a lot of time would be spent and a lot of materials would be used if we didn't use this product. So after a year of plowing and sweeping, this surface could become smooth again. So it's a little inconvenience at the beginning, but it does smooth out. This year we did Gun Hill, Sawmill, Wood End Lane, Countryway, and Linden Court. We did some pedestrian improvements. This is the Flintlock subdivision where our highway department redid the sidewalks in that whole Flintlock area. We also did curb ramps. This is part of the Shared Streets grant program we did with the Land Use Department, doing curb ramps with ADA compliance. Next slide.
Oh, before you go off that,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, so that one, the curbing is, I guess, granite or some form of.
Granite.
The other one was asphalt.
Right.
What's the dividing line between where you do one versus another?
So the granite curbing, we want to use granite curbing in most that we can. When we plow, that's going to save a lot of the sidewalks, at the edges of roadways and things like that. In the subdivisions, the contractors always kind of used asphalt curbing. Some towns use cement curbing. There are subdivisions with granite curbing. It just does protect the roads in the sidewalk area. So, but it's a lot more cost to it.
I think our planning board changed the subdivision rules to require granite curbs,
Yeah.
but not until most of Medfield was built up with
Yeah.
asphalt curbs.
So when we try to go into to do sidewalk work and things, we try to use granite curbing the best we can, as long as we can, afford it.
That's the reason I asked is because when I look at that, it's like, well, there's people here that want you to do more and more sidewalks. It's expensive, and I assumed it was more expensive than the granite curb, so it seemed to me there's some trade-off between, I give you a sidewalk, but it's gonna have an asphalt curb, or I'll give half as many sidewalks that'll have the full, I was.
Plus the sidewalk surface itself, poured concrete versus asphalt. The poured concrete looks better, but it's more expensive.
Right, and I was just wondering whether there was a policy, so if I'm living in Medfield somewhere and I've got asphalt or it's not concrete or whatever, I don't know if we have a policy for what criteria gets you the concrete or.
Usually around the center of town, we try to use concrete sidewalks with granite curbing. As we move away from that, it's usually try to do granite curbing with asphalt sidewalks.
And then how do you sort out what sidewalks the town actually uses the small little backhoes for, and what sidewalks residents are responsible for?
So it's usually around schools, it's usually around the center of town that we do nearly 40 miles of sidewalk
Yeah.
during a storm. We can't do all the sidewalks in town, we just don't have the manpower or the equipment to do that. The further away you get from schools in the center of town, that's usually the cutoff where, we ask the residents to try to do what they can.
Okay.
Also pedestrian improvements, you'll see on North Street and on Main Street, the RRFBs, which is the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. We were able to get a couple of those to push buttons to light up when people are trying to cross the roadways.
Those are very helpful for safety because I drive home on North Street all the time and you can't see the crosswalks. They're at night.
Right.
They're just not obvious, and then someone's standing there to cross and you don't see them at night either, so.
That last one was actually right across from Montrose, so.
Yeah, that's right in front of
The
60 North Street.
flashing signs that drive me nuts, and I don't think we have any of them in this town,
No.
are the ones that are always flashing. Like there's one down in Millis.
Right in
109.
the center of town.
Yeah, and what you do is you train drivers to ignore flashing lights because they're always on. And the stop sign, I guess it's important, but the stop sign coming out of Dover Center, if you go down Springville, but really flashing.
That's probably the Mass DOT standards, because Medway's the same way with the
They're-
new road
The
reconstruction.
ones that are constantly flashing defeat the purpose of it. You just train drivers to ignore them. I don't think we have anything like that, so.
Our Complete Streets grant that we just received recently, we're looking to to install new sidewalks in a few areas of town, a section of Adams Street, a section of Dale Street, and on Winter Street. We had spoke about these last year, one of the select board
That's been
meetings.
a while, yeah.
Just, Public Works gets involved with emergency response, storm debris. If you noticed in the last year, we've had a lot of high wind storms. The trees that come down, we work with Eversource to shut the power down in the fire department, and we remove those trees as soon as it's safe to do so. Recent past, we had some snow operations. Had a couple feet of snow fall last week. We do snow removal and cleanup. We also, this is Bobby Kennedy did a drone shot of one of our snow removal operations in the center of town. This is North Street going towards the post office.
You guys have your own drones, or is that the police department drone?
We have, right now, it's our drone. We let the police department use the drone, and we take it back when we need it.
Michelle didn't tell us that.
No, wait, is it?
It's not as advanced as what they need, but it's something that it kind of assists them in different.
Because there's one that the officers do have that the two guys have been to training for. That's the police department's, or is that yours?
I'm not sure.
that's the
There
police
might be a
department.
couple.
That's a
police
separate
department.
one.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
I know those guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you guys have
Separate
one,
one.
Yeah.
which is good. I don't knock that. That makes sense.
So we use ours for a lot of different things, and looking at the top of the tanks,
Sure.
see what the conditions are of different things for infrastructure that we have. We did a lot of sidewalk clearing this past storm. These snow blowers have been just unbelievably helpful in our snow removal. We did some road widening with the smaller ones and the larger ones. Our guys removed so much snow this past week, so.
It got me good in front of my house. I have a small mound in front of my front door. The new ones are incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, are those snow throwers better than the snow plows for the sidewalks?
Yeah, the snow plows, unfortunately, you can only get so far back depending on the size of the truck. And we don't want to be burying people with the snow, knocking down mailboxes, things like that. We try to push back as much as we can, but when the storm comes with 2 feet of snow that quickly, we have to go and widen the roadways with the blowers, and those have
The
been.
blowers shoots it directional too, right?
They shoot it directionally, so we can do it shallow, we can do it further back, we can do it, we can turn it and come back, so.
Well, this is a perfect example of when we get 3, 4, 5 inches, when they do Metacom Street, it's just a basic plow, it just moves it right along. This past storm, I woke up and I was like, whoa, like you can tell you and you had to use a snow blower. I tried to use my own snow blower to try to clear a little bit left and right, and my little 48 inch got no chance of going through it. So your guys really needed the power to get down that sidewalk.
So we do ask that if the Capital Committee is watching, that we need some.
You guys have a lot of tools, a lot of toys.
We do use them, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, one of my favorite stories is because I always used to commute to Newton, and one year I was driving to work down Washington Street in Wellesley, and they had all these machines out with the rolling brushes on the front of the
Yep, the
Whatever they
sidewalk
are.
machines or the skid
yeah.
steers.
And then I got to Newton, and Newton had like 20 people with rakes, and I thought, oh well, yeah, there's.
Yeah, we use the
Up or
we
down?
use the snow the brushes on the front of machines as well for smaller storms.
Yeah, no, it's good to have tools.
We do stormwater. We do best management practices. We did a project just recently off the South Street extension. These stormwater chambers. If you go to the next slide, there's an overview of the project. We take a big catchment area of drainage, instead of it going directly into waterways or into wetlands, we direct it into a stormwater chamber system like this. What it does, it filters out contaminants and phosphorus and replenishes the aquifer with clean water. So,
I drove by that so many times and I could see the big apparatus, but I could not figure out what you were doing because the way Noon Hill drops down like that.
yeah.
So what are those 2 orange tubes doing?
Those are stormwater chambers, so the water gets trapped inside, it gets pushed into there, it settles there, it goes through these rock beds, that filters out a lot of the contaminants that would usually go into like I said, a wetland or a waterway.
So those tubes are permeable, the water just seeps through
Yeah.
the tubes? So that's
It
the
goes
idea.
underneath. It goes underneath those chambers, and it stays in there, so it rises up, and then it infiltrates into the ground. So it doesn't all disappear at once.
And are you
It's like a
bringing,
detention area.
Yeah, okay.
are you bringing water in from South Street, or how is it getting to?
If you go back to that
Yeah.
slide before, if you look to the top left, that large pipe goes into a catch basin structure that funnels a lot of the water from that whole area of South Street that goes into here. And before it would go, like I said, into wetlands and into water, directly into water bodies, what we try to do is bring it into these chambers. It holds like a detention area, and then it'll seep through the rock. If you look into the bottom left, you see that rock bed. That's all filtration for these, for the water that comes in.
Wow,
Oh, is this treating runoff from the street itself?
Yes. Yep.
that's impressive.
It is impressive.
So this is all done by our staff. Solid waste and recycling, Capital was good enough to give us a third recycling compactor this year. This is guys put in a new concrete pad for it. All that new asphalt is all electrical upgrades to run all three of these compactors. Go to the next slide.
Has it got a name yet?
No, not yet. You can see the one to the right, that's the new one. I don't know if you can tell because the other two are not green anymore. But so this helps us, we would have 6 lanes of recycling if needed for the Christmas time, for Saturdays when it gets real busy. But it also gives us an opportunity to, when one of them has to go down for either repair or for maintenance, that gives us flexibility to make sure that people still be able to get a recycling and the line doesn't go out the door onto 27.
And what's your rhyme or reason, like I'm a Wednesday person, right? So sometimes when I go on Wednesday, the only one that's open is the one to the left, right? So the other 2 are shut down.
Because the line's not long enough and we don't need to open it all up and kind of funnel traffic so it doesn't get too crazy.
But if it starts to funnel through the stop sign up the hill, you guys can,
Just,
okay.
yeah, just open it up and keep opening it until, the
Okay.
traffic goes down.
You've heard, I think you've heard it. There's no place you can put a place for people to put cans with deposits rather than just throwing it in the trash compactor.
We do have
Over in the far corner.
far
but
corner.
It drives me nuts. My boys drive me nuts because they throw it all in the recycling too. But if we had some way the town could just ask people, look, you don't have to bring them to get the deposits. Just put the ones with the deposits in the can. A lot of people don't know about that other one, but on top of that, I know there's already a bunch of barrels there. It sure would be nice if there was a way to put one that says, put your cans with deposits here because the town cashes in and it helps the town with money. There's a lot, it turns out to be a lot of money that just gets thrown in because people can't be bothered.
We will be having a company manufacturer, we're thinking either the prison or a manufacturing to create a new bottle and can redemption container, so.
Thanks. If people saw it, you almost have to know that the other one's there and it doesn't get advertised or promoted, so I'm glad you're doing that. It's driven me nuts for like a decade.
What about your mortgage?
It starts,
The bend at North Street or the?
No. We're on time.
Our fleet division, so we're really big into preventive maintenance for our fleet. The replacement curve, we want to elongate that as best we can. We want to extend the useful life of our older trucks. The guys do a great job of taking care of our vehicles and equipment and the rest of the town's vehicles and equipment as well. With Capital, in the last so many years, we've been able to purchase a lot of good equipment that is part of our fleet that we use all the time. So it's, we thank the Capital Committee for helping us replace a lot of our older equipment. In our cemetery division, you probably know that we are doing a cemetery expansion. This is on Vine Lake. This is the back end of the cemetery towards Bridge Street. I don't know if you can see it, but there's about 1,100 lots that are marked in there for our expansion. And this is kind of a conceptual rendering of a view from Bridge Street. It could look like that. We don't, the The monuments aren't going to be probably exactly like that, but eventually that, you know, that side will be developed by our staff.
Mo, given your rate of sale of cemetery lots, how many years do we have before we run out?
I've looked at that, and my best educated guess would be 25 to 30 years.
Okay. We can let the next people figure that out, solutions then for that.
Mo, going back to Ken, he was working on a columbarium wall. Did you ever actually put that in?
No, so the columbariums?
Columbarium.
Yeah, the columbariums, we have one in the back of the cemetery now. We're looking to put a couple more, but round ones, so it doesn't take up as much space, and there'll be like a rotunda that you would be able to walk around, so we're looking into those as well.
Those are for ashes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they wouldn't be here, though, I think.
They would be in some of the areas that we cannot put in the plots, the lots themselves.
As I recall, when I saw this one before, I thought there was like a retain, somewhere halfway up that slope.
We were going to do a retaining, the problem is the cost of retaining walls are
Okay, so it's
outrageous.
kind
So we're grading it. In the front, you have, those are kind of stone-faced walls,
yeah.
but the retaining walls are very expensive to, especially on that hill. So we're going to be grading all that and trying to put as many lots as we can and try to fit in some columbariums as well. Our newly formed grounds division, we take care of some property management. The guys, we have, the highway division helps the grounds right now, trying to take care of certain properties. They do landscaping, we do spring and fall cleanups, as well as all the mowing in different properties that we've kind of taken hold of.
It's a grounds department of one currently,
Yes.
just for context.
So we do supplement with some of our guys now. But as a department as a whole, we use battery and solar operated equipment. So battery operated chainsaws, blowers, and trimmers. They're very, very powerful. They work well. We also use solar powered compactors for solid waste and recycling. You'll see a couple uptown, one by the CVS on Main Street and one by the North Street Market. Our water division, with system maintenance, we conduct hydrant flushing and leak detection twice a year. That's to maintain our water quality and reduce unaccounted for water. Finding leaks in the system and getting them repaired takes away from water that we're losing in our system. This time of year, there's certain times of year where we have water main breaks. And go to the next slide. There's a picture there where our guys are working in the street of a water main break. In the video, you saw some water coming out of a pipe, pretty good. We're about 5 water main breaks so far this year, some large, some smaller. But we usually average anywhere between 5 and 10 a year. We're doing studies right now to do condition assessments of our pipes. We did a hydraulic model to look at the hydrant flow that we have in town. So the next slide, we're looking at proposed improvements over the next so many years. Water main replacement projects, we're going to get going on the design of those in the coming years so that when we do a major borrowing, we'll have the project shovel ready to get these needed water main replacement projects done. We do want to talk a little bit about our water meters. We have Census iPro water meters that we install, but the Census MXUs, we're making a big push right now to change every single MXU in town. What we're trying to do, it's a transmitter that'll transmit the information from the water meter. If you go to the next slide. This is how we collect data for our water utility billing, water and sewer utility billing. We drive with handhelds in the trucks. We go by people's homes. We collect the data as we go. We send out utility bills twice a year. So we do this twice a year. It takes a good week to get all of the information. Then it comes into the office. It correlates. It goes into our utility billing software. Then we're able to review all the information, send out the utility bills. What we're trying to do in the very near future is install a FlexNet water meter reading system. So basically what that is, but when we change all the transmitters in everyone's home, they'll able to transmit the information to one of our water towers where we'll have FlexNet antennas that'll transmit the information to the town. We're also going to be creating a resident portal so that they can go online, look at their usage real time, be able to monitor what they use and set thresholds and give them either email or text alarms if they go over their thresholds, so they could have a leak, things like that. But that's coming up hopefully in the very near future.
So Flex, go ahead.
Go ahead. So the image you had up 2 slides ago that had the I'll call it the digital meter, and then it had a box.
Yep.
Are you transitioning from the water meter that you can see the digits to the one that you do not?
No. So the one you see to the right is not a meter. That's a transmitter. That's just an MXU that will transmit the data from the water meter to the tower to the town.
Okay.
So that's just a transmitter. It's not a water meter at all.
Okay, because I was thinking when you go to the next stage and you talked about being in a portal and you can actually see the numbers live.
You'll be able to see your usage by like graphs and everything else to see what your usage is.
Okay.
And that FlexNet that provides that ability, that's once the transmitters are installed, or when do we get that?
So once the transmitters are installed, we are changing some meters. Some meters are very old that we need to change out as well, but it's mostly the MXU transmitters that we need to install to make it compatible with the FlexNet system.
Yeah. Do we have a lot of the MXU's transmitters installed at this point or not?
We are about 60% through the town.
Oh, good.
So, but right now we have to change over our utility billing software to change the platform that we use currently to get this system up and running.
And I know that one thing that some people have suggested at times is to bill quarterly, and that's just an issue of it costs us more to do. Is that the reason we don't?
It's an issue of staffing, and we believe this is the first step towards that, but this will allow people, one of the reasons you want to go to quarterly billing is if you leak, it doesn't go through the first. So we believe that this will alleviate that pressure on doing that.
And so we're kind of moving around an issue that we've been dealing with on a somewhat ongoing basis, which is people with excessive water bills because of leakage. And and I'll defer to you, Mo, but I'm going to summarize what I've heard from you is the town does not monitor people's water usage on any kind of regular basis. We don't have the technology or the personnel to do so. People are responsible for monitoring their own, and if they have concerns, to then contact the town.
But we don't have that system in
No,
place yet
no.
for anybody
The
to do
water
that
flows
monitoring.
through the meter, the customer is responsible for, regardless of whether they make productive use of it or not.
So I guess we do ask a lot of all the townspeople to check their meters regularly, to see what their usage is, to see, if they shut all the water in the house and the meter is moving, that means there's some sort of water being used somewhere, there's a leak. So that's one way to tell if you do have a leak in your home.
That's why when I was concerned if the digital meter it went away, you wouldn't be able to look at something and see. Because I've done that once before.
Right.
Somebody told me to do that.
So there is a way of looking at all the meters right now to, at your home to see if some have the newer meters, some have the older meters, but they still have a readout to see what you're using for usage. Like I said, when we get the FlexNet system up and running, we'll have a portal that people will be able to opt into, be able to give their information, their emails, and be able to log in and see what their usage is at any point, real-time data.
But it'll still be the customer's responsibility.
Right. We ask that the customer, monitor their own usage. We just can't look at 5,000 accounts to do that. Moving over to the sewer division. We talked a little bit about inflow and infiltration in the past. inflow and infiltration, as you recall, the inflow is from illicit connections such as sump pumps or connecting directly a drainage system into a sewer, which we really can't have. We've done multiple studies to look at the conditions of our system to see where infiltration is coming in. It's the leaks in our system as well. So the next slide will show you a CCTV investigation showing an infiltration leak in one of our sewer pipes. Now, all that water that's coming in is clean water, it's groundwater, it's surface water, but once it goes into the sewage, it's contaminated. We need to, that all goes down to the wastewater treatment plant, and that has to be processed, which costs the town a lot more money because of we're actually processing clean water, even though it's mixed in with the sewage.
So be clear, inflow is
Yep.
when there's an unrecognized input to the sewer system, so
The
something's
illicit.
hooked up.
Yep.
Infiltration is when we've got a sewer pipe that's leaking and the groundwater comes in.
Could be from a manhole, it could be from a pipe that's cracked.
Could
So,
just be the connections, the pressure causes it to happen, or groundwater. It can come up the other way too.
Yeah, but it has to find, there's gotta be a crack in the pipe.
It doesn't take much, so.
Okay.
Water is relentless.
so unfortunately, we'll never, I don't think any town will ever get rid of infiltration, I&I, they call it, for good, but the job is to reduce it to the least amount as possible, and that will save a lot of money at the treatment plant from processing.
And how do you get rid of the water coming in? Can
So,
you actually
You can,
close the pipes on the inside?
so we have a couple projects in the next, when we do our borrowing for I&I projects, we have, you can cement line the pipes, you can replace the pipes, you can fix the manholes that's leaking from. One issue that it's going to be a difficult chore is to, find some pumps and try to get people to disconnect. That's the hard part. How do you
People are pumping from their basements into the.
directly into the sewer? But we don't know that. We do a lot of investigative work, but it keeps costing us a lot of money to investigate, and it only pumps out at certain times when you have precipitation events. So it's a difficult process for us. The leaks, we're trying to find that smoking gun so that we can relieve some of this I&I. Some of the improvements we've done in the recent past, this is the influence screen. The influence screen is 25 feet tall, goes all the way down to the bottom of the grit chamber, which is part of the wastewater treatment plant. It's the first line of defense. It takes out a lot of the large material that comes in through our sewage system. That helps out tremendously. We just had, with an opera project, we replaced that influence screen. It's doing wonders right now. So this is the last line of defense. This is the ultraviolet disinfection system. UV light will, at the end of the process, all the processes through the wastewater treatment plant, this is will rid us of most of the rest of the contaminants before it enters the Charles River, the effluent they call it, into the Charles River. This is an overview of our treatment plant. The front right corner of that big building that's where the grit chamber is. That's where the influent comes into the system. And the very top left, just past the building, that cement-looking structure, that's where that UV system is. So it runs through all the different processes, finally gets to the UV system and out to the Charles. This is not net zero. This is a different system. This is an older system. We own these panels.
We own the panel, so we get the SREX credits on these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one on the Public Works building is a PPA.
It's hooked up to power bill.
Yeah.
Well, which do we get the better return on, the ownership or the PPA?
Tough to say. I'd have to do a little research on that,
Okay.
but right now the Public Works building is running very efficient with the amount that we do get. Again, these panels are a little older, So they might not be producing as much as we are on the newer systems.
And the issue here is Public Works, it's a PP.
PPA, yep, power purchasing agreement.
It's the owner that's got all the responsibility for life cycle costs and everything. It's just, you're getting the benefit from the electricity here. If anything goes down here, it's on us to fix it.
Correct.
So it's not just, we make more money on this, I would suspect, for what we produce, but we're also shouldering the risk and the burden of keeping it up.
Correct.
And the wastewater treatment plant, I think, is our heaviest power user in the town, isn't it?
That, and mostly the water department as well. The water, the pumping stations, those use a lot of electricity.
Yeah.
We also, the Department of Public Works gets involved with community events. As you see in the top left corner with detours and barricades for the holiday stroll this past year. One of our guys decorated the trailer and the truck just to be a little festive. We also assist with traffic management with the holiday parade and the Angel Run. We conduct tours down at the DPW garage. Just happens to be both of them in the salt shed, but we go through the garage as well. The newly formed Citizens Academy, we took a tour with them. We also do Cub Scouts and also the preschool tours every year. The beginning years kids come down and they walk across town with their grabbing their ropes, and they come through. They love it. They love going through there. So. And lastly, we get involved with Touch a Truck events. We work with other town departments and work with associations like New in Town, Cub Scouts. They did the pancake breakfast. We had a Touch a Truck there this past year, as well as Park and Rec asked us to join in on theirs as well. So.
You also do a ton on Medfield Day, don't you? That's a big day. You guys you start early, you end late.
Not so much, yeah. I mean, the guys, yeah, they love that stuff.
That's a lot.
It is amazing how
Not to be
fast
oversold.
your guys clean up after Medfield.
They want to go
Day.
home.
You still do wastewater treatment plant tours in the schools?
Once in a great while, depending on the time of year.
Well, I can see that, but oddly enough, with our kids, when they went through, that was probably one of the ones my wife in particular was most impressed with, because it's a micro dirty job, and kids are going to tend to, and they learn that no, these are people who are doing a really important job.
Right.
So there was a lesson around respect, in addition to simply knowing how the plant worked. I'm sorry, but if it doesn't happen that often, I think it's too bad.
It happens. We do have one once in a while there. Actually, this beginning of last year, we had a tour go through, but not that often.
It's too bad. And another question on the community events: where do you, almost any project that, especially a not-for-profit or a grant-driven organization has that involves physical manipulation, they always ask for, either it's a requirement of the grant to get, a contribution in kind from the town. Other times it's like, this is a thing we'd really like to do and we're trying to raise money for it, but it would be really great if the DPW could do some of the heavy lifting for us and we wouldn't have to pay for it. In what you just showed us, where does that stuff, what bucket does that stuff fall? And I was curious about how much of it you do, but then I was also wondering where it falls.
As far as cost, what are you talking about?
Yeah, as far as how you think about the operation, if you want, what I'm really, I guess, saying is from your standpoint, I'd be saying, okay, I kind of want to keep track of how much of this pro bono work that we do, and I'm kind of curious how if you keep track of it, how you keep track of it.
We don't really keep track of it. We just, we try to satisfy as many, requests as we can. The guys are always, except for after 36 hours of snow plowing, they're in good spirits most of the time. They try to help out the community as best we can.
Because that's a particular piece of information I wish the community had. I think you do more than they think.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Well, I think a
Well,
lot
I
of the
think
work
it
is
just-
behind the scenes. I don't people, they don't. That's why we kind of toot our own horn with this kind of presentation to show kind of the services we do provide behind the scenes. So.
But if you had a message for the residents, I think of this, just thinking of what the police, the fire chief has reached out to the community and reminded people, if you happen to have a fire hydrant near your property, you know, you dig it out, you can save us 3-4 minutes when we arrive. If you had a message right now to residents, if they could do something to help your guys when we're having certain events, what would it be?
Well, for like snow and ice, stay off the roads for us.
Okay.
You know, if they could, you know, on the smaller storms, the larger storms is very difficult to get their sidewalks cleared. I know, I understand that. But a lot of people want to use sidewalks, so if, you know, the areas that we can't get to, that they, you know, possibly help out there.
Storm drains.
Storm drains, yeah, I mean, you know, that's more of a thing for the DPW to push back enough. On a larger storm, it's difficult when, if you have a lot of snow, it covers the drains, and then if you get a warm spell or a rainstorm, all of a sudden you get flooding. So our guys would be, you know, working on that for a long time. But I think, you know, just, you know, when we're working in the street or we're working, you know, just to, you know, try to stay clear, or if we're doing roadway construction or we're doing road closures or detours, you know, try to be patient best you can. So.
Good, thank you.
Sure.
So last photo of the Medfield, welcome to Medfield sign.
Yep.
The stone wall around, or the stone wall that goes around that is something that your guys built.
Our guys done, yes.
Yeah,
There's a couple
I love
locations
those.
around.
And the stonework over at the anvil behind the townhouse. One of
We,
your guys did that.
we do have some talented staff members. They've done a lot of projects over the years. You know, before I came, they were doing culverts, large construction projects. It's difficult for us to do a lot of projects right now. We're doing the cemetery, we're doing some sidewalk work, but it's just that we have a lot of responsibilities that, and we don't want to not give the services that we can provide. You know, we want to save the town money by doing large projects, but we also have a responsibility to take care of all the other services as well.
Yeah, well, it's impressive, the variety of things that you guys do. I'm impressed with the wastewater treatment plant, because it's really basically a pretty technologically sophisticated operation that is being run by the town, which nobody ever sees, basically. But you guys are just doing a lot of different things and doing it very well, so thank you for
No, thank you guys.
making it so good.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks, Mo.
Any questions for the group? You're all listening. Any questions?
Is there any problem with people pouring grease down their?
Microphone, just so.
Grease poured down drains.
Chris Potts, 7 Curve. Just 2 quick questions. Any problem with people pouring grease down
We
their
shouldn't
drain?
be pouring grease down
Yes,
there.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll cause backups. It'll cause, you know, it's more to process down at the plant
Yeah.
too. But you know, that influence screen that we put in takes a lot of the grease out. But they probably shouldn't get into the habit of doing that, because
Yeah.
it's not
Right.
good for your own home.
Right.
Never mind the treatment.
Yeah. And then any problem with speed going through the transfer station?
Speed?
People driving too fast?
Always. Always.
Just wonder if there's, yeah, just wonder if there's anything we can do.
So we do have people at the gate that work for us. They do a fantastic job of trying to help people, give them information, you know, slow them down, tell them where things are. But you know, that's, you know, a lot of times people are in a hurry. They want to get in and out of there pretty quickly. Some use it as a social event, some don't. So, but no matter where you go, it's just trying to control people's behavior is difficult.
Thanks, Will.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Just wanted to thank you, Maurice, for the town. The DPW did a fantastic job in this last snowstorm.
Thank you.
Not an easy thing to get through for any town.
They definitely worked hard.
I see a lot of towns still trying to dig out, well, us included, but that people are still unable to use sidewalks in so many towns. And so I just wanted to drop that. And also about the speed of people coming through the transfer station. It's a race, right, to get rid of your trash and get out of there, it seems. And one, we need to slow people down, and two, we need to one of the ways to be part of the race and not speed people up is to have the cans, the nickel deposits that Gus was talking about earlier. We don't get many people to donate those cans because you have to stop again, get out of your car, and individually put the cans into this container. Whereas years ago, we had a open container that people were able to dump a box of cans into and keep going. It's frankly, it's a speed thing. People are willing to donate those nickel cans, but they're hardly unwilling. They're more unwilling to do that if it costs them the time of staying and getting their hands dirty and putting the cans back. So the next container that you design, if it can have a larger open end to it, so people can actually take a bag and turn it upside down and dump the cans that they have in the bag, dump the cans they have in a box. People in Medfield are more than willing to donate those nickels to the right because it goes to a good cause.
Right. No, we'll definitely talk about that in one of our next meetings. Okay, thank you all.
Thanks, Mo.
Okay, we're all the way up to item number 3, discussion of pedestrian dog access during construction on the Medfield State Hospital grounds.
So I had asked the chair to put this on the agenda. I've had 2 complaints that came in. One was from the contractor who's doing the work for the Medfield State Hospital to do the infrastructure. There have been a couple of close calls with some large vehicles that are up there. We've also had dog walkers that are trampling the fences that we're putting up for the construction. And Jean Minio and I also had a conversation. I believe she witnessed at least one of those close calls with the vehicles, so she brought it to my attention. And the other issue is off-leash in the front of the campus over the summer months, where Jean is running her Belforge events. We've found that people are not picking up after their dogs in the front, and she is picking up all of the dog poop before her concerts and events. So I would like to see if we could have a discussion of, while the construction is ongoing, if you want to revisit just having the north field and the rest of the campus be on leash. I'm more concerned about an accident between one of those construction vehicles and a dog up there when they're off leash.
Just have the north field be off leash and the rest of the campus on leash.
Yep.
Is that even enough? In other words, the rest of the campus goes all the way to the front, goes to the
Right.
north side of the green. The construction goes up past Chapel.
Yeah, so let's just throw the reality of what's going on up there right now. So, you can no longer park at Stonegate entrance.
Yep.
Right, that's closed off. But you can park to the right where there's that white dilapidated house.
Yep.
So people are parking there, letting their dogs go up the dirt road.
Yep.
And then up the dirt road, and then past the tower.
Yep.
Parking lot, will be the tower parking lot, and then to the backfield. So I'm just throwing reality out there. You're going to say that that is not allowed, but then it's going to be, how's that going to be enforced? Versus if people, I think right now, and I could be wrong, but I think that people are naturally staying away from where the infrastructure work is going. Yes, I'm sure there are a couple of knuckleheads who still think like my dog can run there.
Yep.
So I do think it's gonna be important that we put on the website that, color-coded where on-leash is allowed, where off-leash is going to be permitted. Like, I know for a fact that, we were cracking down on not being in the quad.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what time of day, it's still a free-for-all out there.
Right, we don't have 24-hour coverage to do enforcement. Enforcement's always an issue.
Yeah.
I'm really just concerned about getting the message out that this is an active construction site.
Absolutely.
And I'm really worried there's going to be an issue between a dog who's off-leash, who gets away, and you can't see the trucks coming around the corner.
Or a
So,
person chasing a dog that's gotten away.
right.
The person goes in front of the truck.
So, Elaine, I hadn't noticed, I don't go up enough I go up and I don't ever notice that much parking. If you're talking about the White House that's got the X on it,
Yeah.
like close.
There's a, okay, I'll
So I would say, anybody that parked there,
Yeah.
I would just say, we don't have people park there. And what they'll do is, I would imagine, park where the buses are, so it's not really a major inconvenience to park where the buses are versus, I've never seen that many, I've seen 5 cars near the White House, but
You
that's,
just said people, yeah, there's a little thing, like you park down that end because you walk your way towards the campus, or you park in the back and you go immediately to the backfield.
yeah.
Because there's a good walk, there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
walk on that big open field. There's a path broken.
Which is
in
actually the
that
state park.
Right,
Yeah.
which we have no oversight of.
Right.
So I think I'm just concerned that this is the beginning
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
a significant construction period, and it's only going to get smaller and smaller areas of which we have free reign up there.
Right.
Whether you want to take action or not, I just really want it on everybody's radar that this is an active construction zone.
I think it absolutely makes sense to have off-leash just beyond the campus on the north fields and into the woods down along the river. If you want to have your dog around the campus, it should be on a leash.
I would tend to agree with that. The only issue I've raised when we've talked about this before was, in a sense, Gene's issue is a different issue than the construction issue.
Yes.
If Gene weren't using the green, we have let off-leash dogs on the green, but the people that use the green with their dogs off-leash are people who are throwing tennis balls
So that's
that
part of
farther
the
than the
area.
length of the leash. It's not that they're just got a bunch of dogs roughhousing around there. Legal level, this is our discretionary area for us to let people use. So even if they can't sue us, doesn't mean, well, then go do whatever you
No,
want
that's
to
not,
do.
my point is that people need to know that there's a risk, that they're taking a risk.
Yeah,
Because it's not like they're walking up there now,
Yeah.
where there's nothing going on. If they're gonna be walking up there when there are trucks, when there are holes in the ground, again, when there's gonna be asbestos flying through
Right.
the air, perhaps, if we don't get them to put the air monitors in. And that can be safe. You put the air monitors in, if
Closed
there's a
captions
bad
on
day,
Zoom.
you tell people you can't go through this step because there's a problem.
Another point to keep in mind is when we start talking about what will let happen on the North Field, we don't own most of the North Field. We own a part of the North Field, and then beyond that, Dover owns it.
There's about 20 acres or so back there.
We
I'm
just
saying
act-
the North Field, people take the North Field is all the way to the tree line, all the way to the
Absolutely.
gate. And we actually don't control all of that, is what I'm saying. You can make decisions about what you can do on the upper half, or where, there's a line there. I don't even think it's half of it.
But they get there through your property unless they come in from the other side.
Right.
Either
Or
way,
they come through the neighborhoods and walk over the wall and go in there. So,
And
but in
plus
general, though,
Dover-
you have a major control over the people that are coming in from the Medfield side.
Yep.
So
I'm
that
just
at
saying,
least you have
I'm just
some-
saying policy is on the North Field. We don't actually set the policy for the entire.
Recording
No,
in
of course not.
progress.
No,
Yeah, that was just me rejoining Zoom.
Are we good?
Not there yet.
There you go.
Almost.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
We're good?
Should.
Did anybody out there hear us? Not clear.
We are back.
We are back.
We are back.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, so the hotspot just died, that's all.
Okay.
So
Where were we?
I get what we're saying, like, if we need to shut it down, we need to shut it down, but the biggest thing's going to be, how do we communicate it? Because there are people coming and going, as you were saying, Bill, from all different angles. So we can't go with the assumption that, well, on Tuesday night, February 3rd, we said the following, everyone's gonna know it. Because even today, people don't know where they're supposed to be, not supposed to be, and I've watched it just kind of fall off, that people are just
Right.
walking everywhere with the dog's off leash. So I think it's gonna be a matter of communication and signs and whatever. And I get why we're doing it, I support it.
I know, I'm just worried about what's gonna happen.
What I would say though also is that when we do this, we ought to do it in a very clear, understandable, we don't change it every 2 months. It's gotta be, we're gonna make one change, I'll just, not because I'm advocating for it, but we make a change that says, draw a line across the middle of the campus, north of the chapel, maybe where that pedestrian pathway, access path would be, you have to be north of that, that's where the dogs go. You can walk your dog, you can park down by the buses, but you gotta have your dog on a leash until you get there. If you stay on the campus, it stays on a leash. If you go to the North Field, you can get off the leash. If we do that, what we're doing is we're taking the entire front lawn off of dog access. You can walk your dog with a leash, but off dog access.
You kind of really can't right now, which is safely you shouldn't, because they are starting to go up that
They're
route.
going up the middle of the.
Yeah, so we really don't, to your point, like, we really don't want people there right now, and until they've finally put all of that
Right.
utility stuff
Right,
in,
right.
that really no one should be
Right.
walking around there, because that's where the trucks and the large apparatus are coming or going.
Right.
So that's why if we, in theory, we're shutting down the front half of the campus
Mhm.
so that utility and infrastructure work can start. I think that's
Right.
like so we're not even picking on dog walkers, we're just
Right.
saying, we don't want people in general walking
Right.
on the front half of the campus.
Except you have to let them walk, first they drive, but certainly walk up the road, so there's gotta be some pedestrian path they can take to get to where the campus, they have to be on the roads.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is not a good road to be on, but yeah.
Well, not that road, they need to be on the circle.
Yeah, there's, like, when you drive in, that's not the greatest road for people to be walking on. So, yeah.
Basically saying access is on the west side of the front of the campus.
Mhm.
And the stone gate, and that entire side is off limits, which would mean you can't park on the lighthouse and go.
You can, you can just walk up DCD people.
Well, stay off town property,
Yeah.
yes, stay off town property. Could make the,
Beg your pardon?
does that seem reasonable? It's kind of a big change, but
Well, as I say, I think that dogs should just be off leash in the fields beyond the campus.
That's not what we're saying,
That's
we're
good.
saying basically shutting down the front half of the campus to walkers in general. Walkers, dogs, runners, whatever, like, if we don't want people in the front half of the property to limit exposure to trucks and the large apparatus that are going
because
right
you're
up Cottage
construction,
Road.
you've got construction on the front lawn.
If that's the issue.
Yep.
Yep.
And that'll probably, if we did that now, that's probably gonna stay in place. Well, it's gonna, maybe the front lawn comes back online, otherwise Gene can't use it either. So, somewhere at the beginning of in May, it's gonna stay in place that way for now, while they're doing the construction.
Mhm.
When the construction's done, then the front lawn comes back online, but that bottom half of the campus, the front
Certain things.
When we say the arboretum,
they're not, they weren't in the contract plan that was submitted to me, but, so.
Christine, I think for us to actually make a specific vote, we probably actually have to map the place out on the.
Yeah, why don't we take a run at that and bring it at the next meeting?
I think we have agreement philosophically
Yeah.
that it's
And
fine, block
I
off.
wanna
the
touch
road.
base with Dan too, to make sure, where the next round of construction is going to be, to make sure we include all of it all at
Right,
once.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my
So we'll
advice.
put
We
that on
don't
the
wanna
next
be
agenda.
changing it every month. We wanna.
No, I want
Because
to
people
do
can
that.
use that as an excuse, like, oh, I didn't know you did this, so I don't disagree with, like,
Right.
if we see where we go, we're gonna have to address it,
Yep.
just do it once,
Yeah.
and be done with it.
And
We'll
when
have
you
it
do,
out for the next meeting.
and when you do your signage, I suggest you have a QR code on it that goes to the town website that explains.
It's a good idea,
Absolutely. Perfect.
because that would be valid, even, we can change things on the site, they still remain valid. Okay. All right, next item, reopen the 2026 town meeting warrant for purposes of adding 2 articles. So I think first we take a motion.
So
to-
moved.
Second,
Second?
all those in favor?
Then you give a
All
motion.
right.
Yes.
Can you grab the microphone real quick?
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Nope.
No.
Oh, you have to throw stuff at us most of the
No,
time.
I was like, you were in the middle of that. Catherine Thorpe, 115 South Street. I don't know, I'm here partly because I wanted to ask further questions about the on-call ACO position, and ask that before you make a vote, if we could, I had quite a few questions, and I wanted to know if those could be addressed, and I didn't know when the appropriate time would be to do that, because I know you're about to open up the warrant, and so I just was wondering when you would like to be,
Why don't you do it now? We just finished talking about dogs, and the
Yeah, why
ACO
not?
might be a big factor.
Okay.
And then it ties into budget. So
Okay,
go ahead.
all right.
You've been waiting here patiently for a
No,
while.
it's been great. It's been great. As a lifelong Medfield resident, I always love to. It's all good. So I guess one of my, and forgive me if there are, I have tried to do a little research online in regard to it, but I couldn't find out specifically with the on-call ACO the exact number that you have that the town will be saving by removing that position. And I apologize. It also, if it wasn't, it could have been in a very easy place, and I might not have seen it.
No, I don't think it's in a very good place right now.
Oh, okay.
We're working on that.
Okay.
It's not in a very good place.
Okay.
Let me get you the answer on that. So it's approximately $24,000.
Okay. And that number was based on.
The hours that we pay the on-call animal.
Right. In that, so in, just because I know the current on-call ACO, that number is not correct, and if I could explain.
Sure.
Okay, so that on-call ACO also is an on-call firefighter, and so that number, that if you have the line item, it says, I think it's like 34 something an hour, and then it has Robert LaPlante's name, and then it also states on-call, it says ACO officer, or animal control officer. And that amount is not correct, because also he's an on-call firefighter for this town, and those two things are lumped together into one, because he's not listed as an on-call firefighter anywhere in the line items of every town employee. So there's a muddying of that water in terms of that amount. So that amount is not a correct amount of what the town's going to save.
I would defer to the police chief on that. The number has come directly from the line item in her budget.
Right.
If it was being paid as an on-call firefighter, that would be coming from the fire budget.
But what the point is that that's when this has been an ongoing issue in regard to that, is that there's one paycheck that is received, and that one paycheck is a combination of animal control calls and on-call fire department calls. And also, the on-call rate for the fire department is not the same rate that is given for the on-call ACO rate. They're different. The ACO rate is actually lower. So, for instance, for the on-call ACO, every weekend and every weeknight from 5 on, this person is on call, stays in town every weekend, sacrifices time away from everything else to get paid $6 an hour. And then if they get a call, and I would need clarification, I guess, further from the chief, it is I think, roughly $26 an hour. So it's not the 34, unless somebody can otherwise prove otherwise. So that 24,000 is not really what the town, I would argue, is going to be saving. And I think that maybe should be put a pin in it until you can actually get a real number of what the town's going to be saving, because it's not right to even vote on it if we don't have a correct number. And then
You're saying the 24,000 includes the on-call firefighter?
Yes. Yes. And so I guess the next question is that if you get rid of the on-call ACO, who takes over on nights and weekends?
Nobody, there's no service available. You
So-
have to call a private contractor.
So say there's a rabid animal outside your home.
We do have budgeted hours for the full-time ACO, so if there was an emergency like that, we would pull in the full-time ACO.
And then what if the full-time ACO, which is the daytime ACO, is not available?
And we would have a backup in place either with mutual aid from another town,
Mhm.
or we'll also have some police officers that are trained.
So that was my next question. So are all of the police, so you say like you have, not everyone works a 7 to 11, or they work a different shift, right? So if like an 11 to 7 overnight shift, are all overnight police officers going to be required to take classes like the animal control officers do? Both the daytime officer and the on-call officer have to go to ACOM. They have to take continuing ed courses. They have to know how to be trained on how to properly dispatch an animal humanely, what firearm to use. They have to also get the rabies vaccine. Are you going to require then police officers to get the rabies vaccine?
These are all questions we'd have to bring the police chief in, because it's her department, we'd have to bring her in to
Correct.
answer.
So that would be, I think, a change in potentially their contract, or they would have to, if the police chief is going to say, okay, the police officers are going to be in charge of X, Y, and Z, then they would need to be trained in it. What's the cost then going to be to train those officers when we already have a current on-call ACO and a daytime ACO who already are completely trained in that realm? The other concern I have about when you're thinking about the police officers, and if, for instance, while we were here, a deer was struck, the on-call ACO was called and had to dispatch that animal. And the response time is immediate. I mean, not immediate, but it's very fast. So if a police officer uses their firearm, they have to submit a use of force. It is a use of force every time they take out their gun and they use it. Are they going to have to do that, do reports every time they have to dispatch an animal? The reason why I'm bringing this up is I think there's truly a lot of unintended consequences on a number that we're really not sure and we're actually saving the town, on somebody who's been completely dedicated to this town almost his whole life. And I just am not seeing there's too many question marks for me to think that it's reasonable to vote on an elimination of something when we could have the police push back and say, well, you have to pay us X amount more, and it could actually cost us, the town, a lot more money on top of the liability issues. Okay, what if we have a dog attack? That is something you need immediate response to, and you need people who are trained appropriately. Then what if the liabilities, if a police officer isn't trained how to handle a dog attack or handle any sort of animal, or what if a police officer, quite frankly, doesn't feel comfortable around dogs? An animal control officer does what they do because they have a passion for it, they are well trained in it, and they want to do it. They are very good at it. They try to give continuing ed. And so to put that as another thing that a police officer will have to do, I don't know if that's even really fair.
I think at the end of the day, and I think Christine, you said we didn't create these. The departments came forward and said these are the areas. So just knowing the chief, I can't imagine her bringing a budget item to us where she hasn't thought through the what ifs, because she certainly respects that if we have the budget money, that's a no-brainer. But all the departments are bringing forth the different cuts. So I welcome the opportunity for you to sit down across from the chief and ask her all these questions. And I'm 99.9% confident that she's going to have an answer for all those, because I can't imagine her bringing this to us and not having thought it through.
But how can you even vote? My question is, how could you guys are going to vote this through? your recommendation, but we don't really have proper answer.
You need to, one point here on voting this through, the warrant committee asked both the town side and the school side to come in with a budget that would be compliant with a Prop 2.5 limit. So in other words, the way the warrant committee works, going into the town meeting, is in this particular year, there certainly has been discussion about passing an operating override. But the warrant committee basically says, we need you to tell us what your budget would be that is Prop 2.5 compliant. Doesn't require an override, and that's a separate article. And the reason for that is, if you only go into the town meeting with a proposed budget that includes an operating override, and the townspeople aren't willing to break the Prop 2.5 limit, they vote that article down, you don't have a budget. So the first article gets you a baseline Prop 2.5 compliant budget, and what this drill is about is trying to get down to what that budget would be. And the reason you could just make it that way and say, figure it out, Christine. But the warrant committee has asked for this cut. You're questioning one particular cut, and I'm not challenging, sure, we better double check that and make sure that the numbers are balanced. I'm not arguing your basic point. But this is, the thing we're voting on tonight is actually a set of cuts that gets us to that Prop 2.5 compliant budget, based on a belief of these numbers. If that 24,000 proves to be either not valid at all, or it's only 12,000, then Christine's probably gonna figure out a way to up some of the larger elements that we have in this list. She'd have to make up for it if the only thing that got passed was the Prop 2.5 budget. If there is an operating override, which I anticipate there's a better than even chance there will be, if that operating override passes, then all of a sudden this is at least partially moot. Because what happens is, instead of having to meet the Prop 2.5 compliant budget in the first article, you get the additional money that comes from the operating override to pour it back in there. So this is not
So
like.
it would then be reinstated.
Yeah, so that's, or at least some portion of all of these cuts would be reinstated. And certainly if in fact we're $12,000 off on a projected cut for all the reasons you're raising, well, that would probably be one of the first things that would be reinstated.
So one of the things the board asked after the last meeting was to give them an outline of what we thought were critical operations, important benefits to the town, and then discretionary items. And the on-call ACO is in the important benefits, and they're ranking those tonight of how we would restore them to that budget. We have a little money to talk about tonight now that the increase has gone from the 1.3 to the 1.8, but that is in the restoration budget.
Okay, that's great.
I don't know if you understood what Christine just said. Originally, the Prop 2.5.
Sorry, I just talk about it because all we do is talk about 1.3, 1.8, sorry, I apologize.
The warrant committee basically said, because of what we're projecting for revenue, they first said, you can't allow your budget to grow more than 1.3% to stay in compliance with Prop 2.5.
Right.
What happened is we got some good news, I guess, on the insurance front. We got some good news on the state front, which loosened the pressure. So the warrant committee changed the target from 1.3% to 1.8%. And in this drill, we're still working against the 1.3% number.
Okay, no, I appreciate, thank you for taking the time to, yeah, and I do think though it would be helpful if we could get an understanding of that number.
Yeah, I'm happy to set up a meeting with
Okay.
the police chief
Okay,
and sit
great.
down and review it.
All right.
So thank you very much for
Thank
coming and for doing that presentation, because it's very helpful for us to hear that these services that we're looking at having to cut maybe are very important to the town. We don't have these services in the town budget because we think they're superfluous or fluffy or extra. These are things that, I mean, we're cutting down to the bone at this point, unfortunately. And so I think that your presentation is very helpful to us and the townspeople, to let people know what this means for the town.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that.
Part of
Thank
the
you.
decision that the town meeting is gonna have to make. How
Right.
much is the budget gonna be?
Right.
And last point, with the analysis you did, if you ever want to think about being on the warrant committee, let my.
I think Steve Callahan might be on. Oh, there you go.
Quick, just a quick note about that. It's very interesting what you brought up, because especially in light of the dog concerns at the hospital, we would think that we would need, and I would offer back to the chief that this is one of those things that's maybe we should bump up to critical, because we're going to be facing a lot of challenges with the dog walkers and the dog people who are up at the hospital because they feel that's been their place for a long period of time. So in that regard, I would rather keep the police officers on the street and having a secondary force come in to enforce what's going on at the hospital rather than using up our. So I would say that it should be actually bumped up to more of a critical stature, because if we have big trucks mixing with dog walkers, mixing with dogs, mixing with all that, we already know that we have to spend a bit more on the hospital for security through our own police department patrolling. I would hate to see that we have a budget cut of $10,000 or whatever it is, $5,000, and then have to have the chief put that into hours of her police force taking care of these minor matters.
So
What would you cut instead, Dick?
What would I cut? I'd immediately go after, let's see, the length of these meetings. I would cut.
Oh, we don't get paid. We don't get paid by the hour. It's a fixed price.
The huge stipend that the selectmen receive for doing what they do.
We'll get you to $2,700.
What I'm suggesting is it would be a cut to keep this person, because not keeping the person would mean an increase in police.
So what would you cut instead?
We would be cutting the extra police time that they would have to put in.
No, that's already in there.
He's saying, what do we have to?
No, it would.
If we have to get there and you're saying take this thing out, I'm saying, so we have to look at another area of town operation.
I understand what you're trying to do is pinpoint me
pinpoint
me in a corner, but the corner isn't there. It's an increase in our expenditures for the police department that would be unnecessary.
So I think I can add a point of clarification. I had a conversation with the chief. The on-call officer would not be used for enforcement after hours up at the state hospital when Jenny was off shift. So
Correct.
just to be clear, that we're comparing those two things. This person would not be used for enforcement on the weekends or in the evenings for the hospital.
No, I completely understand that.
Okay.
We're talking about someone who can respond to a dog bite, a dog fight, a challenge with the construction equipment.
Just wanted to make sure we weren't talking about basic
Yeah,
enforcement.
no, this is exactly what we're talking about. So this person would be on call and respond to certain incidents, not having to spend the chief's extra manpower up there. I think it's good to have somebody as a backup, that's all. And I think the point was valid that I contribute twice for dog tags, and that money is to be used for this kind of thing in particular. It's right, it's nailed down that this is, the dog tag money this is what it's supposed to be spent on, this kind of thing. So anyway, I'm just saying that what would I cut? I would try to cut through the red tape and see if I couldn't get the chief some backup with extra folks. Thanks.
We're going to kind of get into the point of dog tags here. Let's start
Yes.
talking about Article 2.
Let's do the articles first.
Okay, so we had first off, we have to reopen the town meeting warrant.
Voted it.
We didn't do it yet, right?
We did.
Did we
You
vote on that?
But then you didn't, you just voted to reopen.
We voted to reopen, and I don't remember.
And then we didn't have a discussion.
We got
I
rolled
think
into
you-
this.
yeah.
Okay, so we did
We've
reopen
reopened.
the town meeting warrant. The first article for consideration to be added to the town meeting warrant is an article for dog use of the MSH grounds. This would be a tag, kind of like a Rocky Woods kind of a tag, where people would be paying to be able to bring their dog onto the hospital property, and that money would be used to fund the cut in the dog waste removal contract that's currently being paid for by the town, but certainly could conceivably be used to cover the other costs that would be associated with people using this state hospital at odd hours. My understanding is that the reason we're adding this as an article is that in order for the select board to be able to institute that kind of program, we have to change the bylaws to allow that kind of a program to be introduced. So the article would be to get approval for the town to institute this kind of a tag, a fee-based tag to fund, primarily to fund dog waste removal up at the state hospital.
So it's a bylaw amendment of some
So
sort.
basically, it's what the dog control bylaw committee brought forward as an idea. Like Newton today, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but let's just say they raised $500,000 to $1 million with their medallions, and it's a step process. It's a resident, it's a non-resident, it's a resident that as a profession is a professional dog walker, it's non-residents that are professional dog walkers. So there's various boxes that can be checked. So basically, to your point, we can now start talking about this as the three of us to prepare a well-written article for the annual town meeting in 2026.
Not looking to complicate anything, but you also have a dog waste problem and pickup of dog waste problems at places like Wheelock and everything else too. So I mean, it's not just an issue at the hospital. Again, I'm not looking, like I said, to complicate this, but I mean, it's, so people who are going to use the hospital will pay some kind of a surcharge or whatever for using the hospital to pick up the dog waste there, but the people who are using Wheelock School, which is probably has more stuff being dumped on it than up at the hospital at the current time, aren't paying anything extra to do it. That's not quite fair, I don't think, but.
So the operative point there, Bill, for us in writing an article is to make sure the article is not written to be specific to the state hospital, but simply have a bylaw that allows us to introduce this kind of a program. And then we
For town-owned
use our
properties.
government, yeah, and whether it's a town-wide, dog medallion or whether it's site-specific, we'll figure that out.
Again, I speak as a dog owner too. I mean, believe me, I picked up plenty of my own dogs.
And it's the few that ruin it for the many, because, I mean, I walk up on both of those, like, where I met Chris for the first time, like, 90% of the people that we walked with back in the day, they just picked up. So we're addressing a 10% problem, it's just, it's the world we live in. But I think that's a fair statement, that we're not just hyper-focusing on Medfield State Hospital, it's any of the town properties that we know people are using.
Are you also looking in this article or a separate article on professional dog walkers in terms of?
That's what he just
So just said, it'd be like 4 categories.
Okay, great.
In-town
That's fine.
resident, in-town resident's a dog walker,
Great.
out-of-town resident's a dog walker.
Dick the microphone there.
As you're discussing that,
Thank you.
the larger cost is going to be enforcement. And so you need to figure in, it's not just about dog tags, it's about there are going to be a lot of people up there without tags. And it's going to be, how do you enforce? Well, we have to have a full-time person to enforce.
Well, think of it this way. I've lived here for 26 years, and I think we finally hired a full-time person at the transfer station 2-3 years ago. And people will come and go, right? We're not going to solve this overnight. We're going to make small steps, and if we do the medallions, at least it starts bringing an inflow of cash. And from there, we can continue to formulate how are we going to enforce it? What is the procedure going to be? Because we know people are going to break it. Like, it's not going to be perfect. But I know Newton has been extremely successful with theirs, but it didn't happen overnight. They took baby steps, and so that's what we're trying to do tonight. And there's no guarantee that this will end up on the warrant, but we can't even talk about trying to make any changes without acknowledging we have to address the bylaw.
So I got a, go ahead, Dick, you still going? Or?
No, just that, I look at fees as taxes, right? And so I'm concerned that we're already paying taxes as Medfield residents, and that our taxes have gone through for pickup and so forth like that. And so these now we have another fee. I'm with you on what you're saying, on getting this cleaned up and getting it organized. I'm with you. But just needs to be a lot of discussion about the cost of enforcement, the cost of getting that together, because it's not just about poop at the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
I had a comment, I assume this is Steve Callahan. In regards to ACO, one of the biggest issues we hear time and time again, is the dog attacks and off-leash. Residents have stated it's so bad they won't walk up there any longer. Can we have the ACOs enforce and ticket folks to generate monies to pay those salaries? Seems like we don't ticket folks and enforce the regulations. Oh, no, sorry, it wasn't Steve Callahan, it was Steve Caskey. Thanks, Steve Caskey. And then as a follow-up, the weekends are the busiest time. Perhaps we should use the part-time ACO to enforce and ticket.
Mr. Chairman, so this got confused because you allowed this lady to speak when she did, but in fact, this is just very simple preliminary, open the warrant, basically put a place saver articles in, and then discuss it in more detail at a later date. And what was just suggested was wholly outside what was being suggested.
I would agree it's outside, but we've had this discussion about fines, and even though technically you can, it appears the state ties our hands when it comes to us we can issue fines. We just
can't enforce
their
them.
collection.
Yeah.
So that's, so to the
Although
point.
I've got to say, within the last year, Watertown actually got special legislation that allowed them to lien people's property for unpaid local fees and fines.
Good.
So you're
Maybe
saying
we need
there's
a
a chance.
third warrant article.
There's a dog poop joke in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Well, before the meeting degrades too
Yes,
far,
I know.
let's leave that. So that we're vote to add that?
Yes.
motion?
So a motion to do that, and then we'll second it?
Move.
Do we need a motion, or
No, you're just adding it.
we're
You're
gonna
fine.
add placeholders for these two?
Make it so, number one. Okay, the next one is add article for the overlay surplus vote to use $100,000 for snow deficit and general revenue. And Christine, on this one, I wrote down, I wanted to double check the financial dynamics here.
Yes.
If we're diverting FY '26 funds to snow removal, and we are gonna be presumably approving a snow
Snow
emergency
deficit.
anyway, but this is an attempt to use FY '26 funds that are available through the overlay to supplement the snow removal budget in order to eliminate that deficit being carried forward into FY '27.
Correct.
When we'll have to pay it off, and it's a year that we don't really need extra things that we have to pay off.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
got it.
The Board of Assessors voted to release $100,000 from the fiscal year '26 overlay. We anticipate we need $75,000 to defray the cost of the snow deficit. I won't say it's not gonna snow again, because I did that last time and it snowed in April, so it could be higher than that, but it would be less for us to manage
That's right,
in
yeah,
fiscal year
okay.
'27.
That's what I figured.
That left $25,000, which I met with the warrant committee, and we put that towards general revenue, towards the budget, and that also contributed to us getting to the 1.8.
Okay. Okay, so we don't have to vote on it? Anybody
we'll just
object to
include an
adding that
article for
as a placeholder article?
Uh,
Done.
Do we want to, I'll move then to close the town meeting warrant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye.
If you didn't know you had an opportunity, you just missed it. Okay, next, review and vote on proposed cuts and amounts for the FY '27 budget. So this is Christine's Prop 2.5 compliant budget, which would be kind of a worst-case scenario. It actually is, it's even a worse than worst-case scenario, because we're gonna have a target that goes from 1.3% to 1.8%. So it's that was the target, so that's what we did.
That was the target.
And
So
Christine
when-
asked for our feedback on priorities.
And when I issued this list, we were, as you just said, trying to get to the 1.3. Going to the 1.8 from the warrant committee guidance gives us an additional $79,000 we can put towards the budget. So as you are ranking, I'm gonna ask you to rank all of these tonight, and I would assume the first 2 or 3 that you are, put as you would like to be restored, could be restored this evening in the budget.
Send that to Christine, is my answer.
Okay.
Eileen, do you want to, so, I'm not sure if everybody did the same thing.
No, I didn't. I wished I did do
Mike,
that.
can you move the little, 3 little guys on the side?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the talking head. the
And
little
Pete, I don't
talking
know
head.
if did you do a rank ordering?
No, I just
Okay.
have sort of general feelings. but-
I've got,
This is what screwed me up, is I was on the impression that priority 1, I didn't think we were even gonna be ranking those if those,
I did, you asked me to, so I did.
No, we wanted you to rank them.
Okay.
If we put them in order of ranking.
Right.
So,
So, I did it. If you want,
Okay.
I can walk you through how I did it, not because I'm trying to push my answers, but just so you two can hear the logic.
Yeah, go ahead.
And to do that, go to the second page in that 4-page packet. So what I did here is, on the right-hand side, you'll see that I did, I called it degree of core, but what I was getting at, is this a core responsibility for the town? To what degree is this core responsibility for town? That's items 1, 2, and 3, where 1 is essential. This is a core
Oh,
town
okay, I see what you're saying.
responsibility. 2 is it's a really important responsibility. 3 is it's things that we do that are kind of nice to do. That's sort of the criteria. And then I also looked at severity of cut. So leaving aside the degree to which it's a core responsibility, I said, let's look at a difference. Is this something that totally eliminated something? Was this something that severely cut the budget? Or is this something that sort of, reduced it but not? And what I use as the cutoff for, did something reduce it but not seriously? I used about a 15% cut. That was a 3. Anything higher than a 15% cut was a 2. And if it was a total elimination, it was the eliminate.
Okay.
And then I did one more thing after I went through all that. There's one last column over there that says mandatory. This was kind of a master override that I used, which I basically said, for instance, I'll go to one of the yeses. Eliminate wages in detail for town meeting. I said, no, it's mandatory. When we have a town meeting, we need the public safety people there managing the parking lot, managing everything that's going on. So I just said, that's a non-starter. You can't get rid of that one. I had a couple which were yes with question marks, like for instance in DPW at the bottom there, reduction in medical service supplies and meals. I'm assuming that if DPW needs medical service supplies, that's a core safety issue. And if it's meals, it's because we're paying them because snowplow drivers are driving 18 hours and we're giving them a meal so they can hang in there for another 12. And so I view that as core public safety, and I made that, but I made it as a question mark, 'cause unless we're talking about parties for DPW.
we're not. Mo did present last week to the warrant committee, and he felt they could go a year without funding medical services. They have things around. This was a meals line item for snow plowing. He typically pays all of that out of the snow budget.
Yep.
So he felt that this could be reduced, which is why we had it on the
Okay, well,
bottom of the
so
list.
then that yes
Yep.
is not so
Yep.
valid. I had some others that were no's with question marks, like in human resources, which is a big one. Eliminate 1 full-time HR generalist position and operating budget, and that was an $81,000 cut.
Yep.
I appreciate that Christine is willing to, maybe with Brittany's help, take on the responsibility of being the HR person for the town. I think that's a mistake. I think we have a town administrator that's got more important things to do. It may be that we don't have a full-time HR person. It may be that it's a half-time person, and we had a half-time person that was doing a decent job. So
Yep.
there may be a way to do part of that, but I view that as, thank you, Christine. I think you're putting yourself in a spot that I don't think we should have you in, being responsible for handling all the HR issues that crop up in town. That's time-consuming, and I think there's more important things you should be putting your time into. So again, I'm not trying to argue positions, I'm trying to explain process.
Your logic is, I appreciate this approach.
I then went through, in Christine's numbers, one of these things, you had a big number for, it's the 8, I think it's, no, it's not that one. I had to reconstruct, on one of your sheets, you had a big number for DPW, and I had to break that apart. So what you'll see on the left side, there was a 89,000 or something DPW cut, and the stuff on the left shows you how that got built up, or 65,000, on one of Christine's sheets. You can go back to the first page, so if you understand all of that, what I then did was I broke things out, I did first, second, third, fourth, fifth priority, and then I went all the way down to things that I thought were just absolutely we could get rid of. And so I worked backwards from 10, and I wound up actually not having any 5s. And what you can see on the first page now is the priorities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, where 1 is the top priority, don't cut it. 2 is things that are number 2 priority in my mind, 3, 4, 5, and then I've got the cumulative numbers at the bottom of each of those columns for that one priority.
Okay.
So what you would do, Christine, is if you didn't have to cut the 334,000, whatever the number was, 334,000, you could work your way from the right, to get my priorities, you could work your way from the right to the left.
Okay.
Could you list what your priorities are? Or saying that loud, because they're not
So,
really us.
yeah, let me at least go to some of the most important ones, because they might be the ones you most care about. Eliminating wages and details for town meeting, that was my only number one priority. I said absolutely not.
And that's a very low amount.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, $1,750. I'm just saying
It has
that's-
very minimal effect of eliminating
Right,
it.
but then, number two priority, there was a cut to highway materials, less paving, drainage feature, and restructuring. I said, what you're basically saying is have DPW do less in a time that people in town are looking for more. There was a reduction in culvert, dam, and bridge maintenance and repair for $5,000, same thing. And then the reduction in medical supplies and meals. Those three were DPW operations, and I said, I don't like the idea that we're cutting back when people want more.
I had the same reaction to those three, that it hurts us too much to cut those.
Right. Then the third priority was the human resources, 81,000. It may be that's a half-time, so maybe we can compromise, but the next one was eliminate the on-call animal control officer. And the other one there was reduce contracted services such as engineering support and contract work for roadway and infrastructure. That was only $2,500, but it's like, yeah, I guess you could do a little more yourself. Fourth priority, only.
Well, can I just
Sure.
respond
Yep.
to those ones? Because
Yep.
part of my thinking was to look for the larger ticket items, so that I immediately was attracted to the HR full-time person. And since that's 81,000, so in my thinking, that as much as it would be painful to eliminate that, I would have that as a lower priority on my schedule.
So the difference between, it is a big cut, so it's a way to get where you need to go quickly. The difference in what you're saying around magnitude and what I'm saying is, as I look at it, with all the things going on in this town, I think the idea the town administrator is going to make herself the HR person for the town is a mistake. But that's got to
Oh,
do
yeah,
with
I
how she
agree.
spends time.
Well, these aren't cuts that we want to make, but.
But I actually
compared
like
to
the
other
idea
ones-
of doing a half-time, so so now you're basically saying of the 107, you're taking 40,000 off of that, which that's actually not a bad move.
So from there, the land use department I had as number 4, eliminate one part-time admin, 23,251. And as many things as are going on in town, especially with the upcoming projects, both, Rose Bay out on Plain Street, or, Plain Street, and then the state hospital, it seems like that's a dangerous place to basically have things grind down. It, relatively speaking, I made it number 4 priority. Those are the ones that are on the high end.
Yeah, so my reaction to the land use department person is that I don't have enough information to know how essential that is. And so I guess I would just likely defer to Christine, and Christine has put that in her critical operations, so.
Yeah. If I'd been thinking as well as you, Pete, I would have also taken into account the fact that it was critical, based on Christine's comment. Now, let me go to the other side. I'm going to go, what did I say were the ones we could easily do, relatively speaking, at least number 10s? The first one was eliminating the printing of the GFOA budget book for $1,000.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, we'll take
It's only
that.
$1,000,
Yeah,
but
yeah. The second one is
For warrant committee?
reducing grounds maintenance, that's 5,000. Now, this is one that on the second page, I said, this is actually eliminating this whole thing. So I see this as a strategic decision that says we want to build a ground maintenance department under DPW's oversight, but not this coming year. So the reason I took it out was just it's a program that we can't really take on. The third one was eliminating the dog waste pickups at MSH. We've already talked about that.
But let me ask you that as a follow-up, just because of what Mo presented at warrant. He is picking that up in his budget some way, shape, or form, if I heard him correctly the other night, like that.
No, it's in the, well, so here's the problem. It's in his level service budget, so it is a cut. We're eliminating that $20,000 from his budget.
Okay, and I thought I heard him say, but it doesn't go away. So it's like, I think when we say we're removing it,
So this is
No, it
ground
does
maintenance?
go away. He's saying that the problem's not gonna go away, but he's not picking it up.
Okay, so the problem's not gonna go away.
Well, the problem will go away when people take their poop with them.
They're not. Okay, so that's, if they
that's-
could, they'd be doing it today. They haven't since day one, since the
Right.
guy left the trash bag in the
But,
back.
but we're asking people at other parks to do that,
Okay,
right?
But it's the contract that's going away.
No,
Yeah.
I get that. I 100% get that. I don't have an issue with it at all. It's just, and you and I have had this conversation for
I
4
know.
years. 1 minute, it's a state hospital, we own it, it's our property. And now in this conversation, we're saying, well, it's gonna become a,
no, we
it's
just-
gonna be,
we just
wait,
added
give me
an
one
article.
second, give me 1 second. It's, we know that people are gonna leave stuff up there, right? They had, when the guy from Millis would come and empty the trash cans. Like, there was a guy from another town removing that waste. So, don't I wish that every person would put it in a bag and carry it home? But that's not what happens.
Yeah.
So we know people are gonna be up there, we know there's gonna be trash on our town property, whether we like it or not.
Right.
So we're just gonna let it pile up.
No, that's why we have the article we just added. We're gonna basically privatize, we're gonna basically do this through user fees.
It's, okay, there's still, it's
So
not
the-
gonna happen
The
overnight.
only concern with that is you won't have that in place. Will you have that in place by July 1st?
No,
No,
That's
we
till
won't.
the,
So, Stop.
I'm asking the three of them, whether or not you would have that in place and be able to collect that money in order for us to be picking up the poop. That's the problem in the timing issue between the article
Yeah.
and the expenditure.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to state the obvious, because
No,
we're
I
going to
know.
have a problem up there, and we're so protective of that land, but then it's one of these where like, well, people will remove it. Well, if-
But we have other options. We can basically say no dogs up there for the next 3 months until
Yeah.
we get stuff. There's no
and
there's no
good luck
constitutional
with
right
that.
to walk
It's
the
like,
dog.
we can't enforce things to begin with, right? It's a fundamental problem. And I'm just not, like, we can yes this to death, but the reality is, this is when things get hostile up there, because we state things that we're going to do, and then we don't do it. And then residents are like, well, I come up there, and the people aren't supposed to be doing things, and they still are, and we're like, yeah, well, okay, we can't do anything about it, because we can't.
Well, we could be draconian and absolutely put the hammer down on everybody. I think we've tried to thread a needle. We've tried to, yes, we've kind of chosen not to react 100% to everything that's gone on. We put the contracts in place for a couple of years, despite the fact some people say, why am I paying for picking up other people's dog poop? And I think it did get better when we had the contract, so I think we're better off with the contract. If what happens is we have a 3 to 6 month time when we don't have anyone picking up the dog poop, and it just becomes a total mess, then yeah, if that's how people are gonna do it, then we're gonna have to take a measure. And then number 6, I only had one thing, which was reduce full-time, this is Assessor's Department, reduce full-time admin to part-time admin, 17,732, and that was one I probably did out of ignorance almost,
And we're fine with
so
leaving that.
that's what I came up with.
Okay, and I like your approach to that. I see where you're coming, when I first saw this, like, I wasn't sure which direction you were moving there.
So I do want to say that we, late this afternoon, just before our executive session, had an opportunity to meet with Pam Gardner at the library, and she has been going back trying to figure out ways in which she has had some staff turnover, and she has had some other funds available that she may be able to work this out to keep the library open on Sundays. So she's putting together a new budget for us now to take a look
Okay,
at.
great.
So we may be able to do that within our existing budget.
Yeah, if we can find the money in existing budgets to cover the projected cuts, that's good budget discipline. Okay.
Let's do some quick math there.
So you want me to run down my list of things that I would target first? I didn't do it as, in the detail you did it, but I would, the things that I would target would be the police department's 29,000 for overtime, reduction in overtime budget to staff community events. Second one for me was the human resource full-time position, 81,000. Third one's council on aging on weekends, 16,000. Next one is the library closure on Sundays. Police department elimination of animal control on time, 24,000. DPW tree contract services, 25. It's not very much, but I thought that that's probably flexible. The select board eliminating the printing of the books for 1,000. Assessors department, reduce full-time administration assistant to part-time, 17,000. DPW dog waste at pickup at Medfield State Hospital, 20,000. Oh, and then the town administrator's off-site storage at Montrose and overtime 5,300. And then the, I didn't understand what that one about the solar electricity, but now that I understand that it's maintenance, I guess I would just target that as well. 17,000, almost 18,000. So those are my ones that I would
You didn't do the other?
cut first.
So those are, and the other ones you're saying should, like Parks, the reduction in overtime budget for Parks and Rec, you would keep?
I would, although yeah.
So, yeah, just to clarify, so those are the ones you would, that's the order in which you'd restore these into the budget, or you would
Those are the
eliminate
ones
from
that I would be most inclined to cut.
Okay,
From 1 to 10, from 1 to 11. Right.
okay.
Okay.
And I can do more of a prioritization like Gus did if you want me to, Chris.
The warrant committee has asked for a full prioritization from the select board at their meeting next Tuesday. So if you can, if everybody could get that to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it to you tomorrow, 'cause I just wanna look at a few things here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
fine.
like your approach,
So-
though, so
So
I'm
you
gonna
have-
follow your
You
approach.
have mine.
I have yours,
Okay,
but
okay.
just to be clear, these are ones, Gus, your list is prioritization to restoration. Or is this prioritization of being cut?
It's the opposite, so Pete
Okay,
gave you
you're the opposite.
prioritization of what he would cut first.
This is what you'd
I
restore.
went 1 to 10, from 1 being what I'd cut, the last thing I would cut, and
Right.
10 being the thing I would cut first. So, yeah.
Okay.
The scale is
opposite.
opposite,
Okay.
yeah. Yep.
Yep.
And yours is easier, Gus, yours is easier in my head to do that rationalization.
Yep.
And now, are we getting, is the magic number to get it to be, to reflect the 79,000 that we
Yeah.
can put back in?
Yep.
Okay.
So for mine, you'd get partway through priority 3, and everything higher than that would be
And
cut.
when you say that, so that restoring 79,000, so it's,
So 1750 plus 33.4
and then roughly.
is 34, 35.1. So then there'd be another
40 grand roughly for the half position.
44,000 at 107,000. So for instance, if the 81 was part-time, so it was
Yep.
only a 41, you could restore that, and
Yep.
you'd have about $4,000 to play with.
Okay.
You know, so for 4,000 more, you could do the reducing contracted services if you wanted to do that, or you could
Okay,
not cut something on highway materials.
okay.
I'll see if I can put mine onto Gus's spreadsheet and just have it all be on one.
Yeah, because
That'd be
like,
great.
yeah, because that does, like, when you look at, like, when you look at your 10s are,
Yep.
like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, we don't have to have the GFOA book.
Right.
We don't
But
have
it's
to
a
have.
shame.
the-
We'll still have it online. We'll still have it
Have it
online.
online? Okay,
We'll
well,
still
that
have it
makes me
online.
feel even better about making
Still
that
have
the
it
first cut. Okay.
Okay, all right, fabulous.
Yeah, if you can get those to me by Friday, so that we can get this prepared and ready to go to the warrant committee
Yeah,
for
I'll get it to you
Tuesday.
tomorrow, 'cause
Yep.
Thursday I'm gonna be out of
You're gonna
pocket.
be very busy. I'm not gonna.
And Friday, I'm
You're
still
gonna be,
out of
I
pocket.
know, you're out of pocket as soon as
Yeah,
Thursday
this-
happens.
We did this differently than I was expecting, so, okay, that's why I'm.
Oops, got a comment. We can't get away from the dogs. Jeff Hyman, the poop issue at MSH is a disaster now, even with a service. It would be a health, safety, and environmental problem that would increase in orders of magnitude. And Jeff is from Metacomet Street. Let's hope that's not true. But point taken.
Second day for the town meeting, right?
We jinxed ourselves last year with such a short town meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Are we ready for the next item?
I think so.
All right. Let's see. Action items. Vote to increase the municipal buildings capital stabilization fund override by 2.5% to $1,218,401 for fiscal year 2027. I don't know if there might be somebody out there that doesn't know what this is. We, several years ago, established a buildings capital stabilization fund as in a new category of override that was authorized by the state. It passed at town meeting, and a provision of that is that at the discretion of the select board, each year you are allowed to increase the amount that's covered in that override by 2.5%. To date, since we passed that override, the select board has approved, up till now at least, the 2.5% increase.
Correct.
So, and I might also comment that because this is an override, this is not something that affects our Prop 2.5 operating budget issue. We've already approved this override, so this is a 2.5% increase to this that will be, doesn't basically put us in hotter water with Prop 2.5. Motion or
So
discussion?
moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Next is vote to declare a snow emergency to allow for deficit spending.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, vote to sign the contract with Weston and Sampson for the owner's representative position requested by the town for the Phase 1 infrastructure portion of the Medfield State Hospital project at a value of $104,000. In our, was it our last meeting, we approved this, we approved the scope of the definition. We did not actually approve the contract.
We awarded the
This is
bid.
formally,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
so this is formally approving the contract.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye. Next item is vote to accept the bid and sign the contract with Beta for the reconstruction of the West Street Route 27 roundabout. And the reason that got held up is because we deferred it at the last meeting because the state had some additional reviews that they wanted to do, and apparently they've done it.
They have not. But as I said at the last meeting, I was going to keep this on as a standing item to update you.
So we're still deferring it.
Ben and I both talked to the state today, and they expect those reviews will be completed shortly and a contract to follow.
So we're
Okay.
deferring again.
So we are deferring again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't think we were voting on it because it wasn't on in the.
Nope, but I kept it as a standing item to give you an update on where the state was.
Okay. Consent agenda, request to use the gazebo at Warrior Park for a Girl Scout cookie booth Saturday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, from 11:30 to 2:30.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye. And I assume that one doesn't clash with any of the other multiple
That is
Girl
correct.
Scout. We didn't get a number for this one. I must have scared them off when I read all the numbers last time.
Nothing says I love you like a box of Girl Scout cookies.
There you go.
Peanut butter ones.
It's key to my heart.
You heard that endorsement from our town council, so you know it's the truth. Let's see, next, gifts, no gifts. Citizen comment, Chris
Yes.
Potts. And it's just the ground rules here is as a citizen making comments, you can say what you like and we have to listen to it and not comment back. Yes, but we might pick it up at our next meeting. Okay.
So, Chris Potts, 7 Curve Street. You know, having been absorbed in so much municipal information over the last 5 years, it's been an incredible learning experience. And I've really enjoyed it. It's been really, I mean, I love what I'm doing with the Insider. There are two things that I think have always jumped out at me is, that I find fascinating is things like how to conduct a public hearing. You know, like something like that. You know, you have your protocol. You know, vote to open, you vote to close. There are 2 words that I have found particularly interesting because they follow across the board, whether it's a select board, school committee, and those are duly authorized. The words duly authorized are ones that I really enjoy hearing. And it's because it determines who has the authority to make a decision. It means that the power, people can't just run away with their power. They have to be authorized to actually make a decision, to sign a contract, to sign checks, to make those decisions. And what I learned, and I haven't seen over the years though, however, is that even though we have a school committee that operates sort of independently in a lot of ways of the select board, there is one role that has not been exercised in terms of the select board role playing a role with the school committee, and that has to do with collective bargaining. So I found this, you know, there's a statute, it's the section 1 of chapter 150E, where the town manager or the administrator or other representative of the select board is a voting member of the school committee for the specific and limited purpose of collective bargaining. And I don't think I've ever seen that role played out in this town at all. And when we're in a very tight budget season right now, and we have a big teacher contract that's happening, and the last other unit contract that was passed last year, they never duly authorized the superintendent or even two of the school committee members to be duly authorized to work on, to vote on that contract. So I'm a little concerned that there may not be, the duly authorization may not be happening. And I think it's important that for the chief executive officer to help provide the checks and balances to make sure that these things are followed appropriately, because this is going to have a big impact on us with with our taxes. And this has nothing to do with teachers. I mean, in a lot of ways, I kind of fear sometimes that this might negatively impact them, and I don't want to see that. But I think the upside is that there would be more transparency and there would be a lot more knowledge about how these things go on. And I think it's just really important. I want to see the teachers being treated fairly, and I think this may be another way of helping to make that happen. So that's my comment.
Thanks for the comment. We could pick that up at a future meeting, and Mark probably would want some insight from you.
I can just preliminarily, if you want, just as a general observation, I don't know whether it's applicable or not. However, there's an unintended consequence for the way that statute was framed, because it puts the TA on the collective bargaining team. If it goes into arbitration or whatever, ultimately, the TA then is legally bound to support whatever agreement is reached. So it puts that person in an inherent conflict position. They can no longer be advocating for the town side, if you will, because they've been party to negotiating this contract. That's just a broad, overarching legal issue, and I know that in some municipalities, the TAs have taken the approach that because of that, we're not going to actively participate, because we want to be free to criticize if the school committee reaches a position that we don't agree with.
Okay. What would help me, I guess, when we do pick this up, would be to understand whether the law that Chris cited enables the option of doing it, or whether it requires participation just as a matter of legal. So we'll cut that. Thanks. It's always fun to hear about the possibility of added power at the select board level. Thank you. You do good. At first, when you started, I said, "Oh, tell me she's going to stop publishing Medfield Insider. Don't do that. It's really, really useful publication." You were a little emotional about it. It was like, "Oh no, not now." Okay, meeting minutes. I confess I haven't gone through the third one yet, but
I have gone through all three.
Okay.
Minor comments on, if I remember my dates here, I think May 13th is pretty short, but they were referring to Chris. Whoever did it thought Chris was a guy and was he. And I was like, kind of like, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that should be she, her. So those are like silly little edits. April 29th, there was a very long discussion about parcel B, and the minutes captured it, but it was so disjointed. But at the end of the day, it's there. It's just not how it was presented. But like they have Christian Donner kicking off, and he was like one of the last people. So I was confused in the beginning, and then I went through it, and I thought, well, it's because again, I watched it live. I didn't do the YouTube. I was like, whoever did the minutes, they captured the intent of the conversation, not every little bit, but if somebody wanted to say, boy, there was a long discussion on parcel B, yes, there was. And then I think April 1st, again, just simple edits where I think once, again, they were quoting Pete, but it was actually Kathy McDonald who was giving a summary. And it's funny, because I was waiting for Pete to talk, and then Pete didn't talk, and then I went back and realized, I'm like, oh, whoever did it had Mr. Peterson when it should have been Mrs. McDonald, but simple things.
the only thing I spotted was it said that I opened the meeting and you opened the meeting because I hadn't taken.
Well, I did that too, that was a
Okay.
minor
Yeah.
change, that it,
Yeah.
and I actually voted for myself, I'm like, no, you did that.
So I think if you're ready for I'm not ready for May 13th yet. I still have to do it, but if
So I
you,
would move to accept the minutes for April 1 and April 29 then.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye, okay.
May 13th is pretty easy. You won't, I think it's a
Yeah,
40-minute meeting.
I just ran out of time this afternoon. Okay, town administrator updates.
Just a couple of things. So, as we've discussed, most of my updates we've discussed in this meeting, but construction has began at Medfield State Hospital. We sent out a notice to the abutters to let them know that was going on. I wanted to thank DPW for their plowing. It wasn't just, so everybody knows, it wasn't just the first 36 hours that they plowed straight. And for most of us, the storm ended on Tuesday, and not for them. They've been out every night, coming out at 1 a.m., and clearing the snow from the sidewalks, from the downtown, opening up parking spots. And so the storm has been ongoing for them for a week, and I just can't thank them enough for doing that. It's cold, and getting up at 1 a.m. after a full day of work is rough. So I really appreciate everything they're doing for us on that. And then tonight at your spot, you will see the new Townhouse Minute.
I like this.
Which congratulations to Cameron in our office who put that together for us and
Great.
took what Brittany and I wanted to do and really made it come to life. So we're really pleased with her working on that. So thank you.
That is so well done, Chris. Thank you for doing that.
That's all on Cameron.
Yeah,
so.
Cameron, she did a nice job with this.
Yes, it's fantastic. So, and that's it for this evening.
Great, okay. Let's see, next meeting dates. Our next one will be February 17th. In March, these are all the first and third Tuesdays of the month, March 3rd and 17th. March 30th will be the annual town election. In April, the meetings will be on April 7th and the 21st. May 4th is our annual town meeting, and I'm guessing we will have probably a brief meeting. We don't actually list it, but usually
No, but
before
we'll
our town
probably have
meeting,
a
we'll
meeting.
probably have a brief meeting there. And our regular select board meetings will be on May 12th and 19th that month. In June, it'll be June 2nd and the 16th. In July, we'll have one meeting on the 14th. And in August, one meeting on the 18th. And again, that's with the caveat that our residents in town don't come up with mischief that requires us to meet more than once in the months of July and August.
Hope not.
Select board member reports.
All right.
Start with Eileen.
So, last 2 weeks, so I attended the MMA event a week ago, Friday?
Friday, yeah.
I'll be honest, I was kind of underwhelmed with it.
Oh.
I wasn't wildly impressed with the whole, like, Tim Shriver, like, it was okay, but I was, you go, every year is kind of a different theme.
Speaker,
whatever,
different
so,
theme.
and then I had to boogie out early. I attended the high school photo show, which I thought was fantastic, where the young students had a chance to, they had 3 different formats they could approach the imagery and narrating why they chose what they chose. Really, really well done. Went to the Parks and Rec meeting virtually. They had a pretty healthy discussion about trying to manage the fees, because there's a concern that if when the families come to sign up at is it March or May, that the request would be to fully pay up for all of the summer fees, and the commission pushed back and said, let's rethink and see how we can do this to lighten the blow on our citizens. Because we don't pay our taxes fully up, we do it over 4 quarters. And I know there's some concern about how they collect, but I think there's doing some homework to see if they can do some workarounds to make it work best for the families. We had a capital budget meeting, which we got some good news about a fire truck. Wayfinder meeting, we hadn't had a chance to meet in a while, so we regrouped last Friday. Looked at the signs that are being planned to be dispersed around town. I think the one reminder, and we were talking about this in our meeting, is really over communicating that these signs aren't supposed to be the end-all be-all. It's like an economic development incentive. So we're going to try to direct people that come into town that may not be familiar with Medfield, where like parking is, some of the key essentials to be able to maneuver in and around downtown. And then the backside of this main board will have all of the open space areas, the key ones all throughout the town. I did attend Mel's wake, which was it's just very sad that a gentleman that's done so much for this town has passed on. But it was a really nice tribute. There were a lot of Brookline representatives there. I couldn't make it to the service the next morning, but I heard that the eulogy was outstanding. It was a very touching and welcome tribute. And then the other night I was 2 laptops going with the ZBA meeting in one laptop and the school committee public hearing on the other laptop. And the ZBA one was interesting because it was a meeting with the Rose Bay developer, and there was a discussion about the select board asking for it's not the LDA, what do they have, the LD? It's not a land disposition agreement, it's whatever the, what's it? The MDA. I knew there was a different acronym that I was using wrong the other night. And so I know that there'll be a follow-up meeting with the ZBA, and they'll continue discussion with Rose Bay. But there were discussions about traffic patterns and the amount of traffic coming and going. And since this is just a 62 and older, doesn't have some of the same hooks as Tilden, there is a concern that there'll be a heightened number of cars versus just trying to like, well, this is what Tilden is, so we're going to ignore that. I don't think that's a right way to approach that. And then, you know, the school committee budget hearing, that was certainly an interesting conversation, and I won't even get into it. It's just, I think it's important. My thing I keep reminding people is, when we look at this town, we can't be naive. You know, it's not 70% of the town has kids and 30% doesn't. We're getting to a point in this town where when you look at roughly 5,000 homes, you're looking at, and I don't have the numbers exactly, but roughly 2,500 don't have kids in the school system. They have kids and they may be in private schools. So that's something that, you know, it's a very sensitive topic, because when you think about, I know Christine, you corrected me in the conversation we're having, and I was gonna ask Mo, but I didn't wanna put him on the spot. You know, if I look at it simply, that 75% of a dollar that comes in, so every dollar that comes in from a taxpayer, 75 cents is in theory going to the school budget, and 25 cents is going to all other services. And when you look at what Mo just presented tonight, and you think like he's getting a quarter, and then I know there's additional funding that comes in from the state, but it's still like like, we can't take it lightly that there are a lot of residents in town that we need to be thinking about. And again, even doing the exercise we're doing tonight, like, you know, roadways. When I had to leave during the snowstorm on Monday for a medical appointment over in Foxborough, and I drove from Medfield to Norfolk to Foxborough, and you could see the roads deteriorate. Our town's roads were by far better than the other towns that I was driving through. And, you know, that's kudos to our highway department. When I look at doing these cuts, though, it kills me that some of these services, people just take so lightly that, oh, well, we won't give it to the town. We all benefit from driving on these roads. We all benefit from a lot of these services. So that was a very interesting meeting. Happy that.
Pete?
I sent my input to the planning board on their mixed-use overlay district for the downtown. I spent 2 days at the MMA annual meeting. I find that to be inspirational. I find it to be really informative. My favorite thing that I learned about this year was busking in Great Barrington. And I thought that Gus and I went to the Select Board Association meeting on Saturday, and I thought that the role play that they had us engage in was helpful and useful to thinking about our roles. So I always find it very fascinating to spend a couple days there.
What the heck is busking in Great Barrington?
Pardon?
So what is busking in Great Barrington?
Busking is people, street performers.
Oh.
And so Great Barrington has 10 weekends a year where they promote busking, and they bring just huge numbers of people into the downtown. So I've had conversations already with movers and shakers in Medfield to bring busking to Medfield. So.
I thought you were getting your knee cymbals and your harmonica on the thing ready.
Don't even.
So in my case, also went to the MMA meeting. I guess it was just last weekend for both days. Kind of come out in the middle between. I was not as inspired on all things as Pete was. I was probably not quite as disappointed. I repeatedly get aggravated. One of the themes of the whole meeting was around how to bridge gaps and how to overcome and how to have productive conversations. And I'm just sorry, every time our senators come, they basically have a completely polarized view, and it's political. And it was almost like for me, it undercut the entire theme of the 2 days. However, the rest of the sessions I went to were good. And I have some things that I picked up. Spent more time in the exhibitors area than I normally do. because last year I realized on Sunday that they don't stay open on Sunday, so I thought I had 2 days and I didn't. And I picked
got
up a
fooled by
bunch.
that last year, too.
Yeah, so I deliberately spent a little more time. A couple of items, I've got some things I'll bring, because I actually pulled some stuff that I thought you might be interested in. But one of the things that intrigued me, and this is an issue that's been occasionally showing up here in town, it's been showing up a lot in other towns around surveillance technology and how police are using it. The thing that struck me, I went to, Maya has an affiliation with, I forget, it's called Blue Brain or something. It's basically an AI tool. I stopped at their booth to ask about it, and it seems like it's a good AI tool, but basically what it does is allows an officer who's out in the field on a spot, at a stop or something like that, can use on a cell phone this app to basically say, you know, what should I do in this situation? Pulled somebody over for broken taillight. What options do I have in terms of actions I can take? And this AI system automatically goes through and it spits back out the relevant laws that would tell the officer on the spot what the laws legally allow. So it's an information piece. That sounded good. They have an affiliation with Maya, which surprised me. When I went to the breakfast, that's where I picked up on that. Later on, they had a breakout session that I went to where one of their people was talking, and the thing that struck me was how absolutely nonchalantly this guy talked about, well, maybe your town has a facial recognition system or something like flock safety. And it was the just assumption that technology is accepted and appropriate, and it just might be something your town's doing. Because I found out when I was at that session that the guy I was talking to was the technical director of this whole thing, because I asked him about flock safety. He said, is this a flock safety type thing? No, it's just this. They were pretty casual about talking about surveillance systems like it's no big deal, and it's, in my view, an incredibly big deal. So that made an impression on me. I agree with Pete. The select board meeting was fun. It was a crisis. No, you didn't. Yeah, you were at this. It's the crisis one. It was kind of a role play about, you have it was a flood. It was hot, and suddenly there's a problem with the water system, and how do you manage the crisis? And it was kind of like a topic that I said, I think this is probably something I know the least about in any formal sense. But that was the last thing we went to. The meeting one was actually when we were sharing ideas. I'm mixing up two that we were both at. And the select board meeting was one, sharing ideas. And the thing that we do, that the warrant committee does with the 75-25 split, which I understand the formal name of that is the Lexington model, but it's actually the model that I got introduced to by Chief Hollingshead, a former acting fire chief, who showed me what Weymouth was doing. So initially, that's how the warrant committee got to the specified split, and the warrant committee has taken that, you know, light years beyond where we had it in terms of rigor and logic, to where we really can have the point you're just making there is, what should this town be? Is it 25% town, 75% schools? If we're changing the balance, it's because we're making a decision about what we as a town want to be. And we've kind of, for a number of years, said that's the right split. So it spreads the pain, right, in a year when there's tight budgets. Nobody likes that answer. They all think their number should be higher. But I found interesting, because these other towns weren't doing that. They were saying, you do this? It's like, yeah. And so it's not well understood. I just will duly report, I did turn my nomination papers in for re-election on time, thanks to some people and some last-minute friends that I tracked down and talked to. And also thanks to Eileen for telling me about the wake for Mel, that I didn't realize, because somehow or another I just didn't read the right notice in Medfield Insider to get that down, but I knew in time, and I did go to the funeral, and his son Brian did an absolute stellar job.
That's what I heard.
I'm not sure, it might be the best eulogy I've ever heard, because it started off seeming like he was almost slamming his father, and he turned it so elegant, and he did it in a good-natured way, and he turned it into all these things that were aggravating as I got older, sort of. I realized those are some of the most important things that he did for me, and he just captured, I think, who Mel was, as well as I understand who Mel was, did it in a heartwarming way. You know, when you're at a funeral, someone who can do that, who cares about someone, and can do it in a way that gets the whole congregation to be laughing despite the sorrow is a good thing. And I thought he did a tremendous job. And last thing, I can duly report that I got to test out some Christmas presents in terms of ski clothing that I got this year. At Jay Peak this past weekend, they had to shut the mountain down because of the wind and the sub-zero temperatures on Friday, so we didn't ski Friday, but Saturday was almost the same without the wind. We did that, and Sunday was a little bit better. Had 2 great days of skiing, great conditions, and in the words of John Egan, there's no such, he's an extreme skier for those who don't know, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad equipment, and I validated the equipment I have is good equipment. So it was a great weekend.
All right.
That's it.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. See you in 2 weeks.
God bless you for sticking in there the whole
Yeah.
time.
Okay, man.